Sister, Brandy Maida, for property damage, harassment, and lost work.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone, please. Hello, Ken.
Case number 2006, Nelson versus Mata.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Nelson, this is your sister.
Yes.
How old are you?
I am 42.
43, almost 44.
Oh, so are you the only two sisters?
We have some half-sisters, but yes.
But you're the only two full biological sisters. Now, there came a time, Miss Maida, that you moved into your sister's home.
Yes.
Is this a home that you own?
Yes, we built it.
In what year did you move into her home?
That would have been 2018.
Who else lives in the house from your family?
My disabled mother, my husband, and my child.
So your mother lives there?
Yes, I take care of my mom.
Tell me why you moved into your sister's basement, Miss Maida.
In 2015, my oldest son was in a tornado and suffered a severe brain injury. So when my sister Tiffany and her husband were looking for new houses, they offered to build an apartment in their basement so that we could live with them and get out of our mobile home. So when they built this house, it was built with the intention of us living in the basement.
Is that correct?
Yes, but for a year, because I do take care of my disabled mother, and the intention was for her to be in the basement eventually so that she doesn't have to use stairs.
Was the original agreement with your sister that it would not be a permanent move, but one that would last for about a year?
It was agreed that it was not a permanent. There was not a date set, though.
Okay, but it was agreed it was not a permanent, and you
Correct.
did not have a written lease?
Yes, we did.
We do have a lease.
You did. I'd like to see it.
We had a month-to-month lease that I have as well. This is the current lease that subsides the other lease.
Okay, initially a month-to-month lease, and what month and year did you have her sign?
I have it right here. It's dated July 14th, 2018.
So this is a 6-month lease that ended January 31st.
Correct.
The rent was $800 a month.
Yes.
So this last lease was for your sister, her husband, and 2 children.
Correct.
I only ask that question because if my reading of your complaint was correct, you say that she moved her husband in without your consent.
So when we first agreed to let her move in 2018, she was divorcing, and the agreement was that her and her 2 sons could move into the home. He had nowhere to go, and she wanted him to move in. So because
In what year was that?
that was still 2018.
So that was still 2018.
Yeah, so we let
All right, so
let him live there.
And since then, you'd signed different leases with her, with him on the property.
Correct.
Okay, so then you acquiesced to it. When you were in the apartment, did you have pets?
I did.
How many pets did you have?
4 dogs. But then subsequently, some had passed away. So at the end, we only had 2 dogs.
Okay, well, at the signing of this lease, you had 6 pets, consisting of cats, dogs, and no other pets being allowed.
Correct.
And you agreed, regardless of ownership of the pets, agreed to restore the property to its original condition at your expense when you leave. Okay, good, because that's also part of what this is about, actually, most of what this is about.
Your Honor, they had 3 pets upon move out. They had just gotten a puppy, so they did have 3 pets and 2 cats upon move out.
Doesn't matter. Anybody who has 6 pets, after 3 years, the carpet needs to be replaced.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, your sister began to move out when? In what month?
She moved out on the 1st of February, 2022.
Pursuant to your agreement.
Correct.
And it is your claim that she left the premises in condition that required you to spend close to $10,000 to put it back into shape.
$6,500
Okay.
for the basement damages.
I'd like to see photographs of what it looked like because we know it was brand new when you moved in because the house was just
Those are
built.
all-
So we know that it's new.
I also have photographs that I took the day we moved out.
Okay. I'm going to give you these and then I'm going to look at yours.
Okay.
Okay, so there's no question you have to replace the carpeting.
Right.
You understand that. Did
Yes.
you replace the carpeting?
No, I had not had any contact from her.
Do you have the bill for the carpeting?
I replaced 1 room already, and I have that, and then I have the estimate to replace the other carpet.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. And that's the main thing that I see in the apartment that has to be done from these photographs. Okay, did you leave a lot of food in the refrigerator and all kinds of stuff in the refrigerator?
No, so what happened was the
Just
refrigerator...
the answer is either yes or no. Did you leave a whole lot of stuff in the refrigerator?
No.
Anything in the freezer?
No, there was no fridge or freezer.
And cabinets? Did you leave anything in the I'm just looking because there's a picture here of a whole bunch of food.
Right. I hadn't finished moving out.
My question,
yes, there was
my
stuff there.
question is, you were supposed to be out by February 1st. On February 1st, was there food in the house?
Yes.
Okay, and it should have been moved, whether you moved out yet or not. You were supposed to be out by February 1st. Okay, I'd like to see those. So you replaced the carpet in what room?
One of the bedrooms, so my mom could move down there so she could not use stairs.
Okay. Sarah, add these two figures and have them for me, please. And I don't know what this is a photograph of.
So the bags that were left in the home, there was ice cream that was left in those bags, and it had leaked on my flooring, and we moved it outside, and that is the rotted food from the bags.
Okay, do you know how that happened?
I don't. I haven't seen that.
Okay. May I see photographs, please, that you took on the day you moved out?
Yes.
I have that total, Judge. $4,129.
$4,121?
29
29.
and 21 cents.
Thank you. Is this after the carpet was taken out?
Yes.
Kevin, can I please see the photographs that she took? Actually, they're pretty much the same. Not terrible. A lot of it is ordinary wear and tear, except for the carpet. So that's $4,129. The only other thing that I'm questioning is that I saw these rocks, and I want somebody to explain these rocks to me.
So because of the water level, if you go out the downstairs patio, there's rocks there to prevent the yard from sliding.
Getting wet.
So some of the rocks were moved. They're supposed to all go in a line, and they go down and over. So we have to pay a landscaper to come out and basically redo that.
Well, how did that happen? Do you know?
They're pretty heavy rocks, so
I don't know. Do you know?
don't know.
Did you move the rocks?
No, you would need like a skid loader to move those rocks. There's no physical way to move those
Where do you live?
with one person.
I live in far west Utah, farm country.
Looks like there's water comes down through here.
Yes, we live across the street from a pond as well.
Well, you don't know how that happens. Now, you have, in addition to your claim, which is for damage, you feel it's necessary to go into these allegations of harassment by your sister?
I honestly just want to be done with her and not get threatening text messages and stuff on social media.
No chance of a reconciliation. You
Not
lived
on my
together
end.
for a while,
I've blocked her from.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Miss Mehta, your sister was there at a time when you needed her.
Yes.
You think that there's any potential for the two of you to sort of restore some kind of working relationship? You're the only two.
No. This
No.
is the funeral of our
All right,
relationship.
not my job. That's a job for another professional. Okay, you have a counterclaim.
Yes.
And your counterclaim, just as she's not going into harassment, I'm not going into anything that involves the harassment. It is your claim that you left certain furniture behind. Well, why wasn't your furniture out on the 1st? Your lease expired at the end of the month in January.
It did. And I did let them know that I was not done.
Well, that's not a reason. That's not a reason to break your contract. Only two people can break a contract, Ms. Mehta. The two people are the same two people that signed it. You signed a contract that said you would be out on a certain date. You weren't out on a certain date. The fact that you notified her that you're changing the terms of the contract unless she agreed to it, then you should have had your stuff out by the 31st. Why didn't you?
Because she had made it very difficult during my moving process. There was a lot of, like I said, harassment and stuff that happened during that moving process. She called the police on the people that were helping me. She made it very difficult to get it done. There was no way that I could get it done on
Let's
that
get
day.
back to call the police.
And later today,
After Mr. Martinez got into the picture, he was going to pay me not to talk to Sherry any longer.
So you had a discussion with him that all of her bills he was going to take care of?
Many discussions, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And?
I never got a dime.
Okay, well, what is the harassment?
Tiffany Nelson claims her sister, Brandy Mehta, owes for property damage after living in her basement. Brandy is countersuing for the return of her belongings.
Who did you have moving you?
I had my best friend Brittany was helping me.
Does Brittany and your sister have any negative history?
They do.
Okay. Well, if they have any negative history, why would you have her come into the house?
Because she doesn't have any access to Tiffany at that point. There was no reason for them to talk. They wouldn't be even associating.
You know, if I knew that there were issues between my landlord and a particular person, especially if my landlord was my sister who let me move into her house, just from the question of using my brain, I wouldn't bring somebody that had been on the outs with them. If they didn't like them, that's one thing. You know, I'm really not crazy about your friend Brittany. That's one thing. But if you knew that there was an active, aggressive feeling against one or the other, should have had somebody else move. So why didn't you get your stuff out?
Well, so I didn't think that it was as serious as that. They are related.
If they're related and don't like each other, or the plaintiff doesn't like her, then that's even worse. Go ahead.
Yeah, so she was my only help. I didn't have anybody to help me at that time. So.
Then start doing it sooner. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was the only reason.
Miss Mater, where was your husband?
He was working. We were working during this whole time.
Well, that's okay. I've moved and worked. I used to move every time I needed a paint job. I would pack up and move, and I constantly worked. I've worked for 58 years. So that's not a reason. You pack in the evening. You go down after work, you get newspaper from the grocery store, and you get old cartons, and you wrap up the dishes and the cartons, and you manage to get out when you're supposed to get out. And she's not the only one who can help you. Maybe your husband has friends. If he doesn't have friends, I don't know why not. And in any event, that was not a smart thing for you to bring your witness. Furniture. What furniture did you leave?
I left patio set on the patio. It was all outside furniture.
Patio set.
Your Honor.
Just a second.
A lawnmower.
Okay.
Outside bench that had storage and stuff.
Yeah.
A fire pit and lawn chairs.
Okay. And when did you buy the lawn chairs?
It would have been 2018.
Okay. And how much did you pay for each one?
They were $245 for the chaise lounges and $159 for the pool dining chairs.
Okay. Are those chairs at your home?
Yes.
May I see them?
Yes. There's 4 lawn chairs. There was never the long
Okay.
chair.
Let me see what's in the home.
I also had a cooler.
Just a second. Don't bother me about a cooler. Are the lawn chairs still there?
Yes.
Great. You can go get them.
Okay.
With a marshal, not with her. What about the fire pit?
Still there.
You can pick up the fire pit. What about the lawnmower?
Still there.
Patio set.
Still there.
They have painted that purple.
Paint it back. Where are you living now?
I have a house
Who are you living there with?
with my husband and my sister-in-law.
She's living with you? Mm-hmm. She's paying, it's not an answer, yes.
Yes.
She's paying you rent?
No.
Why not?
My husband's mother, their mother passed away, and she needed to be closer to family, so she's just living with us as family.
Okay, you're going to get all the property back that you say you left there. And you can do that within 5 days on notice to the plaintiff with a marshal. Just give him a copy of the order that will give you inside.
Okay.
With regard to the renovation of the house, she has to put the house in reasonable condition. Most of these other pictures demonstrate some wear and tear that you would have to do. Painting and plastering after 3.5 years, but the carpeting had to be replaced, $4,129. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
I'm happy with her decision. I just wanted to fix my basement and move on with my life.
I mean, it is what it is. There's nothing to do. You know, I think we were both at fault.
Go back home, fix my house, and honestly have nothing to do with her again.
And if she had come and talked to me like a normal person, we could have figured this out without this.
No, I'm completely done.
I would like to not be inappropriate, but she's just not a good person.
You know, I think that the two sisters had the best of intentions. Didn't you get that feeling?
I did. From moving in and knowing you have a designated place at a time of need, that she was going to design the basement for you to live in, although not permanently, I thought it was going to go in a good direction.
And I'm sure that the plaintiff's mother, who lives with her, is sad that she doesn't get to see her other daughter probably as frequently as she would like, because they lived together in the same home, evidently, for a very long time.
Yeah.
Very bad. There's always collateral damage when people don't get along.
True.
Case number 2039, Mormon versus Strauss. All parties, please step forward.
Derek Mormon is suing his former friend, Sherry Strauss, for car repairs and harassment.
Mr. Mormon, The defendant was a friend of yours.
Yes, ma'am.
A casual friend, a romantic friend.
Maybe both, a casual romantic friend.
How long do you know her?
14 years at least, probably closer to 15, yeah.
Were you ever together as a couple?
No, ma'am.
And it is your claim that because she was in financial trouble, you extended a loan to her to fix her car.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what this case is about. You also say she harassed you, but most of this case is about the loans to fix her car. Ms. Strauss says that you did, in fact, work on her car, but you caused more damage to it than it originally had, and she is counterclaiming for car repairs that she has to make because of work that you did on the car. Who is this person?
My fiance.
Okay, he's not a mechanic.
No.
And who is the woman?
She is the property manager of the motel that I'm living in.
So you don't have a mechanic to testify today to anything?
No, I do have.
The answer is no.
No, but I do have an estimate.
I don't care about an estimate. Okay, so I would like you to tell me, Ms. Strauss, when did you start to have trouble with your car?
March 2nd of 2022.
And where were you living at the time?
I had just moved into the motel.
Had you been spending any time with Mr. Mormon?
Previous to that, no.
Previous to March of 2022?
That's correct.
Okay. After March of 2022, did you spend any time with Mr. Mormon?
I did, yes.
Did you stay at his home?
I went there occasionally, yes.
No, but I'm asking you, did you stay over at his home?
Yes.
Okay. And when you started to have trouble with the car in March, when you hadn't been staying at Mr. Mormon's house, did you call him and let him know you were having trouble with your car?
I did as a friend, yes.
And what did you say to him, and what did he say to you?
I just told him I dropped my son off at his taekwondo, and we were trying to leave, and my car was not working.
And what did he say to you?
That he will come and help me.
And help you?
Yeah.
That was on March 2nd?
That was on March 2nd, yes.
And did he come to the motel where you were staying?
No, he did not.
Well, how did he come and help you with the car?
Because my car was at my son's taekwondo, so he went there.
He came to where you were. And did he take your car someplace?
Not on that day, no.
What did he do on that day?
On that day, he took me and my son home.
So that was March 2nd. Keep going. March 2nd, March 3rd.
And then on March 3rd, we ended up having my car taken over to O'Reilly's. Well, we got a battery.
How much was it?
It was $167.
Who paid for it?
I did.
So then you were driving it again? It's not,
Yes,
yes.
correct.
Okay. And when was the next time there was difficulty with the car?
Then the next time was March 7th. It died again.
So on March 7th, the car died again. And what did you do?
Then on March 7th, I called him and told him that something's wrong with my car again. Now it's not starting again.
Okay. And tell me why you called him.
Because as a good friend, like I said, we've been friends for 15 years. As it is, I don't ask anybody for help. I usually try to do everything on my own. But,
Okay, so you called
he
him
had
and said the
helped me.
car died again.
Yep, but he had made it known that he was knowledgeable about cars, so I figured that maybe he would know what was going on.
You know who else is knowledgeable? Mechanics. You want to tell me what the additional harassment is?
He showed up at my motel threatening.
What did he want?
When I had talked to him before, when he thought that David and I was not together anymore, he said, "Oh, it's not about the money." He goes, "I just want you."
Derek Mormon says his former friend Sherry Strauss owes for car repairs. Sherry is countersuing, claiming Derek damaged her car, trying to fix it.
Okay, so on the 7th, you called him again and said, I'm having trouble. What did he do?
Then on the 7th, I had to go to work, so I had another friend take me to work. He came and picked me up from work, and we took my car back over to O'Reilly's, took the battery out, had them test it. The battery had been drained. Figured it was the alternator, got the alternator. He put the alternator in.
Who paid for all of these repairs? That's what it's about. That's
I
what this
paid
case
for
is.
'em.
So what is he suing for?
Because later on, my brakes and rotors went out and I got a flat tire. So at that time, yes, I did call him and let him know.
On what date was that?
That was on April 16th of 2022.
Okay. Well, right now it's gone on the fritz on the 2nd, the 7th, and April 16th. So that's a lot of aggravation. So on April 16th fiasco with the car and the repairs, how much was that?
$234.
Who paid for that?
He said that he would pay for it. He originally told me that his mechanic would allow me to make payments. And when we went to go pick it up on April 22nd, found out that that was not the case.
Okay, so he wasn't going to allow you to make payments,
No.
which mechanics usually don't. So how much was the bill?
So the bill was $567.91.
And he paid for that because they wouldn't let you make payments?
He paid for that because he knew I was.
No,
enough
not
to
he
buy.
knew. You were originally going to pay for that and make payments.
Yeah, I was
Just
to
a
make
second.
payments.
You were originally going to pay for it and make payments.
Mm-hmm.
You found out that you couldn't make payments, so he said, fine, I will make the full payment to the mechanic.
Yeah.
But it was always your intention to pay for the repairs of the car, only you wanted to pay for it in a slower fashion.
Right, I was going to make the payments to the mechanic, yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, did you pay him back any of the $567?
I gave him $300 to help him with rent, but
Just a second. Tell me when you gave him $300 for rent.
I gave him the $300 on April 29th.
That was after you picked up the car. Mm-hmm. Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Did she give you $300 for rent?
No, Your Honor, I don't need anybody to help me pay my rent.
Do you have any proof that you gave him $300 for rent, a withdrawal from a bank, or anything?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Okay, so far you owe $567. Is that what you paid for her in April?
No, Your Honor, I paid $674.76.
May I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, April 18th. $674. Would you show this to Ms. Strauss? Okay. Mr. Mormon,
Yes, Your Honor.
there subsequently came a time, which I think probably was a more social issue than anything else, when the defendant advised.
I have a different one that shows
May I s-
the receipt right there.
May I
that
see
shows
it?
The $567.91.
Well, I actually am not understanding this. He paid for this with his Visa card. Is that right?
That's correct.
Could you explain this to me? This is your Visa card. This is the same invoice. One of them is for $567.91, and the one that you gave me, the same invoice number, is $674.76. Sarah, would you do me a favor, please?
Sure.
Would you add up?
From both or just the top one?
Well, let's start with just the top one, for which there is a Visa receipt. So I gather that all this became problematic when you started to see a serious boyfriend. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now, after March, you said you stayed occasionally at Mr. Mormon's. When you stayed at Mr. Mormon's, was that more of a social? I mean, was it a more intimate relationship than just social friends? This was after March, after you were in the motel.
We're kind of like friends with, benefits in a way, so
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And then you found someone new, and according to him, you advised him that you had somebody new, and now he wants the money for the car, which you were going to pay anyway. You were going to
Originally,
pay
I
it.
figured it was a friend helping a friend. I didn't
No,
think of
it
it as
wasn't.
a loan.
No. It wasn't. Even you say, Ms. Strauss, it was your intention to pay this bill for your car as you would pay the other bills for your car. However, when you got there, you found you couldn't make time payments. So he said, well, you need a car. I'll lay it out up front. But it was always your intention to pay for your own car. Do we have a...
That is the correct number.
Which-
And then at the bottom, that totals. And then the additional to bring you to 567 is the tax.
Okay. Now, so the next part of your case is about harassment. By whom and for what?
Your Honor, after Mr. Martinez got into the picture,
That's this gentleman.
yes, ma'am, he was a man of his word, and he was going to pay me not to talk to Sherry any longer, which I didn't.
Okay, so you had a discussion with him that all of her bills he was going to take care of?
Many discussions, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And?
I never got a dime.
Okay, well, what is the harassment?
Text messages, my witness here, Miss Montoya,
No, just a second.
Okay.
Text messages what?
just saying, hey, leave her alone, which is
Okay,
fine.
that's all right. That's not
Yeah,
harassment.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, fine.
But it was, hey, I'm going to pay you. I'm a man of my word.
Okay, well, that you're not
Where's my
suing him,
money?
so who cares about that?
Yeah.
She owes you $567. That's what you put on your visa. Now, let's get to your money owed for car repairs and harassment. Okay. Now, you don't have a mechanic here, so what your claim is that whatever he did to the car, he didn't do well, so you had to take the car, or you're going to have to take the car to another mechanic. I don't care. you would plan to fix this car yourself. The problem was with payments. If you had to make additional repairs to the car, that's not his problem. Okay, now you want to tell me what the additional harassment is?
Well, that's why I have my 2 witnesses here. He spent a lot of time calling me names. He's called my fiance names. He showed up at my motel threatening and stuff like that. So
What did he want?
he wanted his money,
Okay.
but at one point
Now he's got it. I don't need to speak to you.
No, but
Now he's got his money.
When I had talked to him before, when he thought that David and I was not together anymore, he said, "Oh, it's not about the money." He goes, "I just want you." He's got several messages from me how he loves me, he wants to be with me, and all this and that.
Yeah, but you don't love him and you don't want to be with him, so now you have to pay him for your car repairs. $567.
Yeah.
Judgment for the plaintiff.
Well-
We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
Hey, justice was served, and that's all that matters.
It was about because he didn't have me. I went with somebody else, and I wasn't with him.
She was a friend, and I tried to help her out.
We've been friends for a long time, so I told him we would be, that I wanted to be his friend.
I ain't gonna help, I can tell you that.
I want to continue the friendship, and he didn't want that.
I know, never again on her, no.
Time to find another mechanic.
So I really didn't have so much trouble with that case because the defendant had really planned on paying for her car repairs. Do I think that the guy said to her, "You can make payments," and when she got there, he said, "No, who knows? It's not worth it."
Yeah.
He felt used,
Which I think is valid.
which, give somebody money and then you've had sort of a friends with benefits relationship and all of a sudden you got somebody new and you're driving around in a car that
Yep.
you paid to repair. Anyway, it was simple and easy.
It was.
Previously on Judy Justice.
He aggressively coaxed you into the chair, is what you're telling me, by complimenting you. I mean, he didn't physically drag you into the store. You walked in by yourself.
Right.
So you must be very good.
She asked for something that would actually help her look more youthful. The medical devices that we actually retail, we demonstrate them on the clients. And then typically clients, when they see a difference, they're like, "Oh, wow."
Listen, you're not selling me, sir. I want to know how the sale came about.
And next thing I knew, Eric was practically on top of me. Well, I didn't feel that I was going to be able to leave the store. I've been held against my will before and kidnapped.
Who hired you?
Wasn't hired. I was in business with him.
Okay, well, but it's getting more interesting.
I'm sorry.
And who leases the store where you are? Don't look up in the air. It's going to get only worse.
And now, the conclusion. Linda Bernadeschi is suing salesman Eric West for deceptively selling her skincare products she never wanted.
I'm not sure she's entitled to a refund on all the products that she bought. I'm not thoroughly convinced yet that this was a situation where she was held against her will. But I've always been fascinated by these stores that want me to pop in and they give me a little white plastic thing and they stand outside, try this product. And, you pass by and you say, "No, thank you, I'm not interested." "No, you're beautiful, this can take away the wrinkles in your face." I say, "I make my money with my wrinkles in my face." Right? And I don't want to take them away. I want them to stay. So that's what it is. So I've always been fascinated as to the business aspect of it. And I digress for a moment because there was some scam company that was all over the internet that said I had created a skin line years ago. Couldn't find them. And they had all kinds of accolades, and it looked like it was sold through major companies online and endorsed. They had pictures all over. It was a scam. And they've done the same thing to numerous other people. And it's all scam. And you can't find them because they're on telephone banks someplace, here and here. And as soon as the federal authorities get to one, they close down one and they go someplace else, sometimes offshore. So we were unable to find them. So all you could do is get on the horn and say to people, "I don't own a skincare line. I've never endorsed a skincare line. Don't buy products that say that they're mine." So I've always wanted to know about these guys who stand in front and try to get you into the store with a little packet of freebies. So now it's your joint business.
Yes.
How much did you put up?
I honestly, I can't recall.
You can't recall how much money you put up? You've only been there 3 years.
I know, I don't remember how much the initial investment was.
Well, give me an idea. Was it $5,000, $500?
A lot more than that.
Well, if it's a lot more than that, you want to tell me how much your contribution
Couple
was.
$100,000.
It was a couple of $100,000. That was your contribution to the store. Is not an answer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Where did you get the $200,000 from?
I worked for it.
For whom?
I worked different jobs.
How old are you?
37.
And you had $200,000. You said a couple of $100,000. That's two. You had $200,000 so that you could invest that. Is that correct?
Yes, and before having a skin business, I had a grocery store on the XL Mobile campus in Spring, Texas.
Okay.
We generated some revenue, and so I thought to open a spa and do products, sell products, and go that route. And I really do pride myself in integrity. I literally, every client that walks in, and I'm not just saying that.
So if you pride yourself in integrity, and within a few days of being in your store and selling this lady who had absolutely no intention of going shopping that day, an $8,000 beauty wand that's going to make her look like she's 30, she says, listen, I made a big mistake. I don't want this product. I want to bring it back. Let's say I keep the creams, but this was $8,000 and I don't have that. Why didn't you take it back?
Your Honor.
That's a question, Mr. West. If you pride yourself on integrity.
I'm explaining. She came back way past the allotted time.
What's the allotted time?
We have a 14-day in-store exchange only for in-store credit policy when you purchase a product. She told me that she was using her husband's credit card. Now I'm coming to find out that it's her roommate or guy that she's living with. I don't know the whole story, but I can tell you that the whole interaction with her was extremely professional. There was no aggression.
I just asked you why. Now you have a lady who I've met, actually.
Yes.
Just here. And she gets home and she said, my God, what did I do? How did I get this? A lot of fast talking here and a lot going on. And now I'm walking out with almost $10,000 worth of product. And I was going to buy a lipstick. And she says to you, I want to return this wand thing, whatever it is, for $8,000. And if what you're saying is you run a reputable business and you're busy and you've had enough money to put down $200,000 in this business, by the way, you do file taxes every year, don't you? Yeah. When was the last time you filed income tax returns? What year?
This year.
How much did you earn?
$173,000.
From this business?
From different businesses, but yes.
Are you in this location all the time?
Yes, typically in that location, yes.
When you're typically not in that location, where are you?
Florida.
Where?
Miami.
What do you do in Miami?
Well, most people do, sit on the beach.
Well, how often do you work?
Pretty much almost every month. And I take my weekends and I fly and spend 3 days and then work.
In Miami?
Yeah.
You go from California to Miami. Great. And she paid how much for all of that stuff?
Nothing. She only bought one eye cream. That was the initial.
Just a second. How much was the eye cream?
It was $600, I believe.
I have never, ever in my life spent $600 on eye cream.
Defendant Eric West claims the plaintiff, Linda Bernadeschi, purchased products with a no-refund policy. Linda felt she could not leave unless she bought the items.
So you still haven't answered my question. She comes into you within a relatively short period of time after she purchased all this product. She said, I don't have the money. I have to return this piece of equipment. And you said
that she... Oh, sorry. I apologize.
Ahead.
She said that she found the products cheaper online a week and a half to 2 weeks later. She was upset.
Just a second. Did you call and say you found the products cheaper online?
Yes, but it wasn't 2 weeks later.
How much later?
A week at the most.
Oh, which products did you find cheaper?
The wand. I couldn't find the other products at all.
Okay, but you said you found the wand cheaper. Is that what you told him?
Yes.
Now, you looked for the wand. You had to go on, like Sarah does, on the machine.
Right.
And look for it. And now I have to assume, Ms. Bernadeschi, I have to assume that if you went online to look at it, you tried it. Because that makes sense. I want you to be very careful with your answer and not give me an answer that you think is going to help your case. But if I took the trouble to go online to try to find something, it would mean because I liked the product. So I would have tried it. No. Did you use the wand?
No, I have not. It's still in its original packaging. There's no way it could be opened and sealed back up. There's no way. I looked online because I wanted to see how much I got ripped off for.
Okay. And when You went online. How much did you find it for?
$597, I believe.
The same thing? Can I see what you found for $597?
Kind of.
Do you know what she's talking about?
I know that when you go and you buy a Cartier ring from Cartier, you can get it online for a cheaper
listen,
price.
Listen to me, sir. It's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, sorry. My apologies.
Mr. West.
I see what she's talking about. It's a very similar looking device listed for $575 from a different
see it?
store. Yeah. This is the initial one that I showed you for that amount. That's what the defendant handed us a copy of. This, for this price, is the same. I just copied and pasted the name of the machine into Google, and this came up. So it looks a little bit different, but
Okay.
same concept.
Would you go back to the other one, please, Sarah, the first one? And I want you to show me the comments that gave it a 5-star rating. 2 reviews.
Yeah, there.
I just want to look at it.
Looks like one from 2019.
Okay,
and
let
now,
me see the next one, please.
And now that I'm reading it, this looks as if it's for a different device. This says electrobionic.
So the review
That's
is...
listed here. It
the
looks to be
review
for a
is
different
for
device.
a different product.
Yeah.
Okay. No, she found it.
Okay.
She found it for me.
Sorry.
She found it for me, a different color, whatever. Anyway, so you called him about a week later.
Yes.
You called him about a week
Yes.
later and said,
Yes.
I found it cheaper.
Yes.
And what did he say to you?
He said, well, I can't give you a refund. He said that would have to be up to corporate. So I'll have to get a hold of them and get back with you. Well, he never did.
Taking what you say is true, you called him a week later and said, I found this very expensive product. The other thing were facial creams and potions and lotions, whatever. I'm not so concerned about those. I'm concerned about this $8,000 item. So you called and said to him, with regard to the $8,000 item, I found it cheaper.
I don't think I told him that, no.
Okay, now let me read the police report. Okay, have you seen the police report, sir?
No, I have not.
Okay, so this is a police report by an officer who you don't know and doesn't know you. What happened was on the 8th of March, he received a dispatch to go to a location because the plaintiff had complained that she felt on the 21st of February that she couldn't leave the store and she spent over $9,000 at the store. So he went to see her because the case was a false imprisonment case. And it said, while officer was en route, he asked his dispatch if there was any history involving your location. And it said there were 2 previous incidents involving your store. You're aware of that?
Yes, Your
Yes. And he read the papers of the events. There were 2 different complaints, 2 different complainants that were very similar that were reported by this plaintiff. Said that the other 2 victims were lured into the store and they felt as if they were not able to leave until they purchased products. One of the reports stated that the victim had spent over $100,000 on recurring charges and products that she didn't want. So, in a very small area, there's a little history there. I'm reading you what the complaints are, sir. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
Okay, let me finish. Okay, so the next day on February 22nd, you said you wanted a refund for the device. This is what you
Yes.
say, not for the creams, not for anything else, just for the device.
Yes.
Okay,
Your Honor, she didn't pay for the creams. She paid for 1 cream out of all the creams that she got.
whatever.
Okay.
But that's not where you made your money.
No, I know. It's on the machine.
That's not where you made your money, is on the lotions and potions. Okay, suspect 2, that was you, told him he was unable to give her a refund and would have to be done by corporate. Were you the one who told her that?
I spoke to her.
That's
No, I
either a
did not
yes or
say
a
that.
no.
No, I did not say that.
Tell me what you said.
I told her that she signed a no refunds agreement and she understood that she purchased the sale, that it was a final sale because she got what she received.
What did she receive?
She received 6 months worth of services that she did not want, which were complimentary. She also received a full skin regimen, day cream, night cream, cleanser, toner, eye serum, eye cream, peeling gel.
And she paid how much for all of that stuff?
Nothing. She only bought 1 eye cream. That was the initial.
Just a second. How much was the eye cream?
It was $600, I believe.
Do you still run that place when you're not sunning in Miami?
No, and those are the only.
Just a second. It takes an awful lot for somebody who feels as if they've been taken advantage of to actually go to the police and said, I was duped by this dope, or a dope that was duped by this dope.
Defendant Eric West claims the plaintiff, Linda Bernadeschi, purchased products with a no-refund policy. Linda felt she could not leave unless she bought the items.
The eye cream was $600. Okay. All right. Mr. West, I'm not going to waste any more time with this case. You're going to get your $8,000 back when Mr. West gets back his sealed wand. Do you understand?
Yes.
If it's been opened...
It hasn't.
If it's been opened, it belongs to you. Do you understand?
Yes.
If it's been opened and it came in a sealed package, it belongs to you. As soon as Mr. West receives, you're still in the same location? Are you still in the same location? That's either a yes or a no.
I'm not in the location, no.
What?
There's another operator there, but just for the record, I believe that we opened the device because she wanted to know how to use it at the store.
Just a second.
Okay.
So then you have no problem, sir. Do you understand?
Yes.
Unless she can return the item to you sealed, because she says it's sealed, and there's no way that it could have been opened. That's what she told me. If she opened it, that means she tried it. And if she tried it, it belongs to you. Do you understand?
Yes.
So within 5 days, he gets the product back. What?
I just want to show you this final sale
Just a
agreement
second.
that she wrote.
I understand what it says, sir. I understand what it says. I also understand that your little company had 2 prior complaints from that location. And it takes an awful lot for somebody who feels as if they've been taken advantage of to actually go to the police. Most people just write it off and said, I was being a real schlemiel and I was duped by this dope, or a dope that was duped by this dope. And just say,
Your Honor.
I'm going to eat it. What I'm telling you, sir, is I buy an awful lot of junk for my face. That's what old people do. They buy lotions and potions and stuff. I even steal some of hers. And I have plenty of dough. I have never, ever in my life spent $600 on eye cream. Ever. And so if she spent $600 on eye cream, that means she could have bathed in all the other products and you still would have made money. She is going to get her money back for this worthless piece of accessory, because it's worthless to her because she hasn't used it and she doesn't want it. And she's going to get it back from you when she produces the sealed package. That's it. And you're her witness?
Yes.
Do you live close by to this shop?
Yes.
Do you still run that place when you're not sunning in Miami?
No, and those are the only...
Just a second. The answer is no. What happened to that business at that location?
There's another operator coming in, and our contract ended recently. So there's another company coming in to run it.
Sounds like such a Ponzi scheme. The whole thing sounds like such a Ponzi scheme.
No, it's called COVID.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $8,000 when she produces the sealed item. Thank you very much. We're done here.
This court is adjourned.
This woman clearly had a bad episode of buyer's remorse, was emotionally unstable, used somebody else's credit cards that claims to be her husband, and God only knows what other kind of schemes she's trying to pull.
Well, I think the judge made a very sound decision because the guy is a total fraud.
She actually took advantage of me and took my time for 3.5, almost 4 hours, asking me, what is this? How does this work? What is this? How does that work? And I literally used all these products that she purchased and got to see results from that she was happy with when she left.
Absolutely manipulated me, went out of his way to manipulate me.
Well, she opened it in the store, so if she does return it, she'll have to seal it again with some kind of plastic sealer that they use like for those old VHS tapes when they used to seal them after you watched them from Hollywood Video.
Beware, because there's a lot of frauds out there.
I stand by my products.
The product is intact.
For once in my life, I am so glad that when I'm walking on the street, and we've encountered these people in our walks just around, like you said, around our neighborhood, for my resting bitch face. Because never once have they looked at me and said, she looks like an easy target for us to pull into the store. Not once.
Would you give me an example of...
Just, I think living in New York City as a woman alone, taking the subway for 3 years.
I want you to look at me.
No, I can't recreate it. You know it when you see it. You know it when you see it. I'm sure it's on one of our episodes. But I just am so disgusted with people like that know exactly what they're doing. He suns himself in Miami on the weekends, all on the backs of these poor older people who feel pressured, and maybe like she was saying, she lives with someone who's a recluse, who I'm sure she doesn't speak to that many people, and that's the whole scam. And I just feel so terrible that this guy takes pride in his business that is scamming people.
It looks like a little bit of a shady business that he went into for $200,000, and now somebody else took it over.
And not anyone with a last name.
Yeah,
There's
right.
never anyone with a last name involved in these things.
People have to be careful. In the law, caveat emptor, let a buyer beware. That's okay. But this over-aggressive salesmanship reminds me, Sarah, of something that the Legal Aid Society, who were the defense team in family court, would argue in a closing statement in a robbery case to me. They would say to me, it's not a robbery. He was aggressively panhandling. That's what it was. It wasn't a robbery. It was an aggressive panhandle. This is just aggressive salesmanship, is what he's saying. Well, the line crosses between aggressive salesmanship and and what amounts to, at least in her case, and the case of at least two other people who went into that store, feeling that they were uncomfortable about leaving unless they purchased something. You and I are tough birds. We would, you say, well, we're leaving. Oh, really? We're not leaving until we buy something? Yeah, right. But some people can't do that. That's not in their character. Anyway, if somebody puts them out of business, another business will just pop up. Because as, I don't know, was it W.C. Fields said, there's a sucker born every minute. I'm not a...
And Trayon Dupree are suing their customer, Brianna Freeman, for rental car damage and lost wages.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2174, Brown Dupree versus Freeman.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, who's the business person?
It's us.
That would be you?
Yes.
Your name is Mr. Dupree.
Mr. Dupree.
You a couple?
No, ma'am. It's business partners.
In what business?
Car rental.
How do you know each other?
We met from the military.
So you're not a couple, you're just in business together. I just want to know. Don't both smile. I just want to know. Let's go.
We're friends.
Yeah, we're friends. We're friends.
What? This is not going to happen for me.
We're not a couple. We're friends, and we decided to go in business together.
Where do you live?
Houston, Texas.
Where does she live?
Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas.
Does she live in the same place that you do?
In the same home?
In the same place, building?
Oh, no, we don't.
Who do you live with?
Myself.
Who does she live with?
Herself.
When did you meet in the military?
Maybe 2021. Not really sure exactly what month.
Now, if you're in business together, is the only business you had this one car that we...
Yes, we was just starting.
What kind of work do you do?
Crane operation.
Full-time?
Yes.
And what about you?
I work at a call center.
So that's your primary source of income?
That's correct.
Yes.
And you decided to do this car rental as sort of a side gig?
Yes.
We had just got out the military, so we didn't have a job then. So we did it for a primary source of income.
Well, you can't have one car that you rent as a primary source of income.
We have our military disability check as well, so we have that. And we
How long were you in the military?
Almost 9 years.
And you?
8.
Where did you serve?
Norfolk, Virginia, and Mayport, Florida, Jacksonville, Florida.
So you were never out of the United States?
Yes, I went overseas for deployments, but never stationed.
But where did you go on your deployment?
Bahrain, Dubai, Greece, Italy, all over.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was a great experience.
Yeah, good. Yeah. What about you?
Only Virginia.
Only Virginia?
Only Virginia.
How did you become disabled in Virginia?
I have no idea.
I mean, you said you're on a military disability, so, I could understand if you deployed someplace else.
I have no idea.
You have no idea what?
Why, I guess, became disabled. Just mentally, I guess. Mental.
Well, you applied for a disability from the Army.
You said what?
What?
I said mentally.
Just my own curiosity. I have to see how this is going. How much is your disability benefit from the Army?
$2,000.
A month? It's not an answer. Yes is an answer. What about you?
Same.
And is your disability mental or physical?
Both.
Well, your physical disability doesn't inhibit you from being a crane operator.
No, not really.
Great. I love America. Okay, so now you're out, you're both on disability from the Army. You don't have a job yet, so you decide to buy a Mercedes.
That's correct.
What year Mercedes?
2014.
And how much was it?
$22,000.
Is there a note on the car?
Yes.
For how much?
$350.
Per month?
Yes.
How much of a loan did you take out?
23, one of them. It's not too much.
Car was only 22.
The car was 22.
I don't know the exact number that the car is right now, but it was between 21 and 23,000 that we owed on it. And I took the loan out.
Where is the car now?
In Texas.
With whom?
She has it right now.
What was the rental agreement that you had with Miss Freeman? You didn't form a business corporation or anything else, am I correct?
Yes, we have LLC.
And the sole asset is this car?
Yes.
You bought the car when? Give me the date again.
I think it was in July.
July of 2022?
That's correct.
And when did you rent the car to the defendant?
August 27th.
Do you have the rental agreement?
I don't have the original agreement because it was in my car that was stolen, but I made her take a picture with her driver's license and send it to me. So this is a copy, and this is before she signed it.
And I have after I signed.
It's literally the same thing.
Just
And so you know
let her talk.
Okay. What I'd like you to do is take a look at this, Ms. Freeman, and tell me if you have it. It's the same
Yes,
what she
ma'am.
had. Okay. And this is the entire agreement, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I don't know why you're arguing. It doesn't appear, madam, it doesn't appear as if you are losing this case. So I don't know why you feel compelled to make it hostile.
Selena Brown and Trayon Dupree claim their customer, Brianna Freeman, owes for damages to their Mercedes rental car. Brianna is countersuing for lost wages.
So there's nothing in this agreement that prevents her from allowing somebody else to use the car, and the agreement specifically says that if anything happens to the car, she is responsible to use her insurance, and you have a policy number, your policy number for insurance. Okay, so your boyfriend was driving the car on what date?
The 1st.
First of what?
September. And I have the accident report if you want that.
Not yet, I may. Not yet, but there was an accident and the car was damaged.
Correct.
Anybody have a photograph of the damage to the car?
I have it on my phone if you would like to see that.
I would.
While we're waiting, Your Honor, I found the LLC filing that lists both of them as the
Principals.
As the principals, but they list the same address for both of them. Their residents are listed as the same.
Oh, really? Interesting. Want to say that a little louder?
I just said I found both of them listed as managing members of the LLC with the same address for both of them listed.
I lived in a different state when we started. I was in Florida.
We don't live together. That's what y'all are saying.
It just lists.
Yeah,
lists
that's
as
just
place
the
of business
LLC
as well.
address.
It's in my boyfriend's phone because the number that's on the contract was his phone at the time. So if you want to see.
I had a picture right here.
And I have multiple pictures as well.
Of the car?
That's correct.
Well, that's what I'm asking you for. I said I want to see pictures of the damage to the car. You were in an accident?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you agreed in this contract that if you were in an accident, Brianna, that would be you.
Yes.
Will use her insurance if anything happens during the rental. Brianna will be responsible to pay out of pocket.
Correct.
You signed that?
Correct.
Okay, so you were in an accident. I don't care whose fault it is because it doesn't have anything to do with fault. Picture of the car.
It's
another paper picture.
It's a couple pictures, so you can just check as well.
Stand up. Somebody hit you in the rear?
No, in the front.
Oh, this is the front of the
They ran
car.
a stop sign.
What?
They ran a stop sign. I was coming up, they were coming across.
Well, whatever. You got damage in the front of your car. In my mind, that usually means that you hit somebody.
No, they came across from me. They ran a stop sign in front of me.
And you hit them. Okay, well, that's what it usually means, that you hit somebody in the front. Okay, and that was on September 1st.
Correct.
Did you notify your insurance company?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to see proof of that.
So these are the claims, the quotes they gave me to fix the car. Also, this is when I let her know, Ms. Brown, what was covered under my policy.
I'd like to see it.
So that's that. It shows what's covered in my policy.
Was the car fixed?
Absolutely not.
No.
It was not?
Not at all.
Why not?
Because I didn't talk to Trayon, Mr. Dupree, however you say his name, until the day, September the 5th. All of my business was going through Mrs. Brown. So I don't know if he just found out what happened. But when I called the insurance on the 1st, they let me know that he was the owner of the vehicle. I said, okay. They said they'll have to go through everything through him so that the car can get fixed because I wasn't the title holder. I said, that's fine. I said, okay, due to the fact that the car got wrecked, I let her know that once the car goes to Mercedes-Benz to get fixed, they give a loaner vehicle. I let them know everything that was covered. Why it didn't get fixed? Because she popped up to my home and caused drama. I lost my job behind it, so forth and so on.
What does that have to do with your responsibility? Your boyfriend had an accident with a car. You have a contract that says you're going to fix it.
Because Trayon said it wasn't enough.
What do you mean Trayon said it wasn't enough?
I sent him the quote for their adjusters, and he said that wasn't enough to get it fixed. And I have that text message from Trayon.
Just a second. I'd like to see your quote from your company. Where did you take the car for them to send an adjuster to take a look at the car?
I had to take pictures of the car and upload it to the app they sent me, and that's how they got those quotes.
They have an estimate here of $3,000. Mm-hmm. Did you get an estimate to fix the car?
Yes, we got an estimate.
I'd like to see it.
In person.
In person. That was just the picture, and when I
Okay,
talked...
got it.
May I interject a little bit? Because Brianna kind of lying, and she raised her right hand. So Brianna didn't notify us that the car was wrecked until September 3rd. She told us that she was in the hospital with her dying father.
Listen
correct?
to me. Listen to me. I don't care.
She lied about
I don't care.
She lied about how the car got wrecked.
I don't care. It doesn't matter how the car got wrecked. She has an obligation to fix it. She has an obligation to fix it. And to be quite honest with you, this is a Mercedes, and this car can't be fixed for $2,900. Can't. He's absolutely right. This car can't be fixed based upon that damage. And he wasn't prepared to say here.
No, it wasn't that at all. So once, I guess, he got involved in the business, I was talking to Ms. Brown. She said she had a rental the next day or something in that manner. And I said, okay, well, let me find a Mercedes-Benz that can actually get your car in so you can get this loaner car for you to rent your car out. Also, in the midst of that, I was gonna pay for the rental that she had that was so much one to cancel on her. So I said, okay, Mercedes has a loaner car and can accept your car at the time.
Well, they couldn't fix this car for $2,900.
That's what they gave me, and they said that if it went to a Mercedes-Benz shop, they will honor that.
I don't know that at all.
That's what they told me.
I don't care.
But regardless of the price of getting the car fixed, I was gonna pay because I know that we was at fault for it. Quote unquote, it was my contract that I signed. That wasn't an issue.
Well, then you can take that up with your insurance company.
Correct. I didn't have a problem with paying.
Yeah, then you can take it up with your insurance company.
She lied about how the accident happened. So they denied.
Don't listen to me. You started to say that before. I told you I don't care.
She's just lying and cost us so much money. Like,
madam, listen to me. You okay?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Selena Brown and Trayon Dupree have accused their customer, Brianna Freeman, of damaging their Mercedes rental car after her boyfriend was in an accident.
He has an estimate that looks like a pretty legitimate estimate. They bought the car. It's a relatively new car. They paid $22,000 for it. Your boyfriend wrecked it, and he has an estimate which looks reasonable for $8,000 to fix it. And if your insurance company is dragging their heels and not paying what they should, you take that up with your insurance company.
I never got that quote, by the way.
Which quote?
The quote that the $8,000. I never got that.
Well, I'm going to show it to you.
Oh, it's probably be true.
$8,319.
Her insurance denied it because she lied. She lied about how the accident happened. So they denied.
Don't listen to me. You started to say that before. I told you I don't care.
My insurance.
Just a second.
Your insurance what?
Never denied the claim.
I have proof. I talked to him. I have proof. I have the email where he said they denied it because.
They definitely denied it.
Because I told them to stop because she popped up at my house.
Because she lied about the accident. Because we tried to get it through our insurance as well.
I don't know why you're arguing. It doesn't appear, madam, it doesn't appear as if you are losing this case. So I don't know why you feel compelled to make it hostile. I don't understand why.
She's just lying and cost us so much money. Like,
madam, listen to me. We're all told. You okay? Good. Your car is in this condition at whose house? At your house?
That's correct.
And the car, since the accident, which was 4 months ago, has it been rented?
No.
No. Is it drivable?
Yes, it's drivable.
When was the last time you drove it?
Last week.
When was the last time you rented it?
Since Brianna.
Have you been making the payments on the car?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Who's been making the payments?
Both.
What is the monthly payment?
$350.
$350. You told me that. The insurance up to date?
So we had insurance. We had commercial insurance on it. But when I put in the claim and told them what happened, because we did get lied to about what actually happened, and we didn't get informed of the accident till the 3rd. But when I put in the claim, I put it in how they told us what happened. And my insurance, they found the police report before we did, and they seen what actually happened. So they felt like we was trying to do fraud. So the guy, he told us it's better for us to pull the claim because it's going to look like it's fraud on our part. So they dropped us from the insurance.
So they dropped you after?
Yes.
After the accident?
Yes.
Can I see the police report now? Well, this police report indicates that the other person was at fault.
That was my. Oh, sorry.
Am I wrong about that?
No, ma'am.
No, then don't speak. This police report, did you see it?
Yes. Got it right here.
I'd like to see what you have. This police report clearly says that Unit 1, which was the woman, ran a stop sign. That's what it says. Why would your insurance company drop you?
Because we gave the story that she told us, so it looks like we're doing fraud.
Yeah.
And basically, ignorance isn't an excuse for them. So.
Actually, that's pretty outrageous.
We was told it was a hit and run.
She told us it was a hit and run, so we told them that. She said she was in the hospital when it got hit, and then we found the report. She waited until the day that we had a rental to tell us. We had another rental on the 3rd that afternoon. She told us that morning.
On the 3rd?
That's correct.
And the accident was on the 1st?
That's correct.
Okay. I think you have to get your car fixed. I think that the fact that your insurance company canceled your insurance when it was clear that he was not at fault in this accident, at least according to the police report, is actually pretty outrageous that they canceled your insurance. Is there any insurance on the car now?
Yes, there's regular insurance on it.
Not commercial anymore?
No, not right now because we're not renting it.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $8,000. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I'm glad we won and everything. I felt like, we deserved more than we got, but at the end of the day, we won the case. I'm not mad at the decision.
I'm fine with it regardless because I know I was trying to get it fixed. It was just a timing issue.
She lied about everything. She literally lied about everything. She pulled out a gun on me.
Lying, I don't have anything to lie about. It's all in my evidence.
Like, she told me to come basically get the car and the keys in the mailbox. And when I went over there to get it, she pulled a gun out on me because I took my wig off.
She posted stuff saying I lied about things. I pulled my gun out on her. Like, girl, I don't have a gun, like, at all.
I think that they put it inside, so they checked them. But they said they couldn't go inside, so they checked their body.
They checked them. They wasn't able to prove that they had a gun because,
So she said it was a gun, it was a bat, and like I had to get checked twice by the police officer. And it was like, she came over here looking for problems because the car was gonna get towed.
It's definitely a risk, but, you know, make sure we're prepared for stuff like that from now on.
No hard feelings, supporting black businesses, but it is what it is. You know what you know, it's just facts.
I think I should just be grateful. I'm just gonna be quiet and just be grateful.
You know, I'm sitting here trying to think of what the takeaway is on this case, and I can't think of the takeaway.
I mean, I'm having a hard time as well, but I think accountability and responsibility could be a good one. The defendant knows what she signed, that any damage to the car from her boyfriend, her, anyone while the car was in her possession is on her. But what we see a lot of is emotional issues come into play when people know their responsibility, but then there's an emotional issue. She came to my job, she harassed me, she came to my house and yelled at me, whatever it is. And they think they can use that as a justification to get out of their accountability. And although I'm not promoting going to someone's house for some self-help, you know, that's not a reason for you not to follow through on your responsibility.
On your contractual responsibility.
Yes. Which she was clearly aware of. So maybe that.
That's the take.
Is suing her home buyer, Dante Zarzosa, for an unlawful eviction, extortion, and emotional distress.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2156, Heckendorf versus Zarzosa.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Heckendorf, who is this gentleman?
This was an attorney I hired in Mexico, kind of in the middle of the night when...
He's an attorney?
In Mexico.
Okay.
And my witness.
Okay. So, trying to piece this complaint and answer together, you purchased a home from Mr. Zarzosa?
No, Your Honor.
He purchased a home from you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got it. He purchased a home from you in Mexico?
Yes.
Where in Mexico?
About 5 miles north of Rosarito, maybe 10 miles south of the border.
How long have you owned the home?
I owned the home about 5 years.
How much did you pay for it?
When I bought it was $180.
How much did Mr. Zarzosa pay for the house?
$245.
On what date did he purchase the house?
February the 9th.
Were you present at the closing of the house?
I was.
When you closed on the house on February 9th, how much money did you receive?
I was supposed to receive...
No. You were supposed to receive $245,000. How much did you receive?
I received a cashier's check for $15,000.
15?
$15,000. I received cash, $4,500. And I received the next day through a wire transfer 4.6 million pesos or something like that. I have the paperwork.
Just tell me what that translated to in dollars.
It was $220,500.
Okay. Well, if you have proof to how much the translation of pesos to dollars is, that means that you got a total so far without the down payment. Did he give you a down payment?
Yes, $5,000. I was paid for my house. I was paid for my house.
No, I understand that, but this is the problem. Mr. Zarzosa says that when he took out the mortgage, he increased the amount that he was borrowing so that he had closing costs covered to the extent of, I think, $3,800 or $3,900.
It was a total of almost $10,000.
No.
Oh, $3,900.
That's what I asked you. What's $10,000? $10,000 comes out of nowhere. It was a difference, you said, of $3,900.
Yes, ma'am.
And so he wanted from you the difference.
Well, the realtor gave me...
Not the realtor. He wanted from you...
The realtor told me that. I've never really spoke to Dante except for on February 22nd and the time that he came and looked at my house. But the realtor sent me a fake statement, which I looked at because it's a high school kid's piece of paper, and I said I was not making a refund.
Okay, well, you have to make a refund if you were paid more for the house than you're bargained for with the purchaser.
That's true.
That's true.
And the bank told me on April 1st.
No, they can't tell you anything.
Oh, really?
If they documented something to you, then I'll read it. But you can't tell me what a bank told you. First of all, banks don't speak. Now, I'd like you to get what Mr. Zarzosa is handing me.
This is from the bank.
Well, I can't read this, but what I can't read is in Spanish, but I can read the numbers which indicate that you received, Ms. Heckendorf, a total of $249,544.22. Let me see.
May I see that, ma'am?
Absolutely.
Because this is what that bank gave me right here. And I did go with my witness to the bank on April 1st, and they told me that
A bank can't tell you anything.
They told me that was the correct amount.
A bank can't tell you. They can give you a document, which I will read, but a bank can't tell you anything.
This is not really a case about this contract.
Yeah, it is. It started this way.
They're saying that that bank sent me the wrong amount of money?
Yes. That's what it says. That's what that says.
That's what this says.
That's what that says.
I imagine anyone can write what they want, but I was not paid the wrong amount of money.
Well, the bottom line of it was, eventually you gave him back $2,800 of the $39,000 that he said that he was entitled to. Is that correct,
No.
Ms. Heckendorf?
No.
You never gave him $2,800?
I signed a contract and gave him $2,800 under duress. He took my dogs and my cat, and he took my property.
I want you to understand what I'm saying to you. When I ask you a question, I expect an answer. You gave him $2,800, and you gave him the $2,800 because he believed and told you that he had taken out extra money in order to cover his closing costs. And you got that money, and he wanted that money back because he was going to have to pay for it through his mortgage.
I have never heard that these were closing costs. This is the first I've heard about closing
Well,
costs.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to
never heard about closing costs.
Stop talking. Stop talking.
Okay.
And I'm keeping it very simple. Okay. You're going to want to keep it very complicated, and I, madam, are going to keep it very simple. So the bottom line is you stayed in the house for free.
Karen Heckendorf claims her homebuyer, Dante Zarzosa, extorted money by keeping her pets in property. Dante is countersuing for false accusations and lost wages.
Good. This is your piece of evidence. Your piece of evidence says that you got $249,544.22.
No.
That's what it says.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, that's what it says. You gave him $2,800. He wanted $3,900. You gave him $2,800. What you're suing him for
He also
is
wanted
I'm going
$2,500.
to dismiss your case.
Okay.
It's just as easy for me to send you back to Mexico. Once you closed on this house, according to what I looked at, Ms. Heckendorf, you asked if you could stay in the house because your new house wasn't ready to close escrow. Is that correct? That's a yes or a no?
Yes.
And so you closed the house on February 9th, and he allowed you to stay in the house. When were you supposed to vacate the house?
March the 1st, I paid $2,000.
That's a date, March 1st. And between February 9th and March 1st, how much did you pay him in rent?
I gave him the money from the casita.
Just a second.
Yes.
That's an amount between February 9th and March 1st.
$2,370.
So that was a month's rent. Is that what you received?
No, Your Honor.
How much did she pay you in rent between February 9th and when she was supposed to vacate March 1st? She would have paid you rent in advance.
Nothing.
Show me proof that you paid him anything for rent on February 9th. Did you ever receive from this agent $2,370?
No, Your Honor.
Well, do you know who he is?
Yes, I do know. That's the realtor that represented both of us on the purchase.
And you never received, this was on February 9th. He acknowledges, he signed that he received $1,620 as in for the last month's rent and $750 security deposit, as well as prorated rent of $120. I don't know what prorated rent is for.
It was for the end of January. They moved in a few days before.
Who moved in?
The people that rented the casita.
And that's part of the house?
Yes.
What is that?
I have two houses on the property, the one I lived in and the casita. And Dante gave me an email that if I gave him this money from the casita, that I could live in the front house until March the 1st. I have that
Just a
email.
second. When he bought the house, did he or did he not buy the casita as well?
Yes, he did.
So he bought the casita as well. So it belonged to him. This rent belonged to him.
Only
So
if I
what do you mean?
rented
He's
it.
not giving you anything. If he buys a house and there's another property, he owns that property. He owns whatever rent was due for that property. So what you're saying is, let me cut to the chase. What you're saying is, you claim, he said to you, I've just paid you $250,000 for your house, which includes the casita. Your house isn't ready yet to close escrow. I will let you stay in the house free if you let me keep the money from the casita's rent.
Yes.
Oh,
And I have
fine.
an
So that the
email.
bottom line, don't speak, it doesn't look like you're losing so
And-
far. I may not be finished with you.
And
So
I hadn't rented
you're
the
speaking,
casita.
you're trying to speak over me.
Well,
And I'm keeping it very simple.
Okay.
You're going to want to keep it very complicated, and I, madam, are going to keep it very simple. So the bottom line is you stayed in the house for free from February 9th or 10th until it was supposed to be until March 1st. That was your understanding. You were staying in his house for free.
I didn't have to rent the casita.
I don't care whether you had to or whether you didn't have to. You were staying in your house that you sold to him for free until your new house was ready. That's a yes.
I felt that.
I don't
but
care
guess
how you
if you
feel.
Want to look at it
I
that
don't
way,
care how you feel.
Okay.
You sold him your property and you took advantage of a piece of that property, the casita, in order to negotiate yourself a free 3-week rent until your house is ready. Now, you may stand there and look at me in that smug way, but you and I both know that that was a deal you made for yourself.
Yes, I agreed.
Okay.
I agreed to rent the casita ahead of time before I moved out and give him the money so that I could stay in the property until my house closed escrow 1 week.
Pretty tricky.
May have been March the 6th.
Pretty tricky. Bottom line is you stayed in his house for free.
Okay.
And then what the rest of the case is about is that you claim that he changed the locks on the door before March 1st, and in the house you had your pets, and he held ransom your pets until you gave him what turned out to be $2,800. That's your complaint. He changed the locks on February 28th. Where were you when he changed the locks?
February 22nd.
22. Where were you when he changed the
I was
lock?
in my office in San Diego.
Okay. And how did you find out that the locks were changed on the door?
Dante sent me an email that I found later admitting to what he did, but
I asked you a question.
I was at my office, and he called me on the phone, and he said, this is Dante Zarzosa, and I have...
My way. Mm-hmm. He called you in the office. Mm-hmm. That's how you found out he changed the locks. Yes. That's an answer. Approximately what time did he call you in your office?
It was about 6:30, 6:45 in the evening.
6:30 p.m. Mm-hmm. And tell me what you claim he said to you and what you said to him.
This is Dante Zarzosa. I have your 2 dogs. You're never going to see them again if you don't pay me $3,900.
Now, that wasn't the first time you had heard about this $3,900. That was not the first
time. I heard about it on February the 9th. No, the 8th. Sorry, February the 8th, I'd heard about it.
And so you told him after that you would, or you told him, or you told your lawyer, is that you? Yeah, now you can stand up.
I met him.
Shh, don't speak.
Okay.
On what date did you get your pets back?
Well, I didn't actually get them. My friends went and begged for the animals.
Don't tell me what they did.
They gave them to my friends.
Stop it, please.
Sit.
Yeah.
Karen Heckendorf has accused her homebuyer, Dante Zarzosa, of extortion by threatening her pets. Dante claims Karen owes him for making false accusations.
Your last name, sir, is?
Mena, Your Honor.
Mena. Mr. Mena, you're an attorney in Mexico?
Yes.
Okay. Are you a real estate attorney?
Yes, civil attorney, real estate as well.
You understand what this is about, and you understand if you're a real estate attorney that sometimes people take a mortgage that's beyond what they need in order to cover their closing costs. You understand that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. It's not an unusual thing. I've bought and sold many homes. A lot of people do that. And when were you first made aware of the fact that the defendant was at least claiming that there was an amount that he had incurred debt on by way of a mortgage in excess of what your client in Mexico was supposed to receive in the amount of $3,900?
February the 22nd, something like that.
2/22. And when she came to your office, now we no longer have attorney-client privilege, sir, because she's brought you here as a witness, so you're going to testify to every conversation that you
Absolutely,
had.
yes.
You understand that?
Absolutely.
Okay. She came to your office after she found out that the locks were changed.
Actually, I was at home. That was at night.
So when for the first time, sir, did you hear about this money that the defendant was claiming that he was owed?
Mr. Dante called me.
I want you to answer my question.
Yes.
My question is, when she called you the night of the 22nd at your home, did she tell you at that time or soon thereafter that there was a discrepancy that he was alleging with regard to the closing fees?
Not actually, no. No,
She didn't tell you anything. She told you that he just illegally evicted her and changed the locks.
Yes, and at the same time, because of some situations regarding a deal she has on the sale of the property.
Your client knew as of February 8th that the defendant was alleging that she owed him money from the closing costs. That's clear. That's what she told me. Now, they had clearly ongoing discussions about this from February 8th or 9th when the deal closed and she got her money and she's living rent-free. So what I want to know, when did she share with you, not that there was an illegal eviction, not that her pets were in the house, when did she share with you that he was claiming that she owed him money? And I'm not excusing self-help. When did she tell you that? Because she knew it at the beginning. She knew it before she called you.
I have the communication from Mrs. Karen at the time we filed the complaint in the DA office, district attorney office. This is the time when she expressed me the whole facts.
Oh, so she didn't tell you the whole facts when she called you at home on the 22nd?
No, because she was very worried. She was concerned regarding the babies.
Don't tell me that. Okay.
That's it.
Now I got it. So I got what you're dealing with. I understand who I'm dealing with. Okay. On what date did you get your pets back, Miss Heckendorf?
The 22nd.
Okay. What time?
Well, I didn't actually get them. I got them the next day because my friends went and begged for the animals.
Don't tell me what they did.
They gave them to my friends.
Stop it, please.
Sit.
Yep.
I just asked you when you got your animals back. So you got your animals back on the same day as he changed the locks on the house. They were given to friends.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So they were returned to you the same day because if they were given to your friends at your direction, your friends were your agents.
Yes.
Good.
Only the dogs. He had my cat the next day.
Did you have a cat or was it an outside cat? Is it an outside cat?
Outside cat that lives indoors, and they
Okay,
put
it's
the
an
doggy door down so the cat couldn't get out.
Okay.
He told me he had my cat.
Okay. When did you give him the $2,800?
About 5 o'clock on Wednesday, the 23rd.
Is there a writing of the exchange of that money? I'd like to see it. I can't read this.
The plaintiff has a translated version.
Can I see the translated copy, please?
Can I speak?
About what?
About that paper?
Yeah.
He was the one that drew it up. He could tell you, Your Honor.
No. I want this. Did you draw this up?
Can I see it?
Yeah, sure. Kevin, give it to him.
Thank you.
Did you draw that?
Yes, I participated.
What does it tell me?
It's translated.
Don't speak. Do you have the translation of this document?
Yes, I gave it to you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, number 5, very clear. This is the agreement that Mr. Zarzosa receives from Ms. Heckendorf $2,800 for concept of refund of pending payment. The previous amount is received fully. Therefore, the debt is liquidated. And number 6, the seller, Ms. Karen Heckendorf, grants the broadest waiver derived from the investigation file presented before the district attorney's office. I assume that that was your complaint, and with a file number filed against Mr. Zarzosa by not keeping any legal action present, past or future, derived from the present business.
This is the police report they're talking about.
I don't care what this says, is you've settled all of your disputes with each other. This says you've settled everything that had to be settled. Okay, but what the translation suggests is by this document, each of you understood that you were giving him money. He was not going to follow through with anything that had to do with the criminal complaint or with a criminal complaint against him. You went your own merry way. Am I crazy, or is that what this document says, sir? You are the lawyer.
Yes, it says so.
That's what it says so. So I want to know why you're all here bothering me. You settled everything. You got back your stuff. You got out of your house. You got your personal property. He has a counterclaim for false accusations and loss of wages as a result of whatever. This document says you've resolved everything with each other. So why are you here?
I did not sign that document under usual circumstances. I hadn't had any sleep, and I was coerced. And he said he was going to burn my furniture or he was going to sell it in the year that it would take me to prosecute him under this Mexican contract.
Put it down, sir. The case is over.
If he wanted to
The case
sue
is
me,
over. You're a pretty savvy lady, madam. You had an attorney that you consulted. He was there when this document was signed.
He wasn't on the real estate deal.
He was there
He
when
was only on this
Goodbye.
deal
We're
in the
done.
middle of the
Case is
night.
dismissed. So is your counterclaim.
This court is adjourned.
this was really a case about Dante taking my animals for hostage and extortion.
I didn't steal anything.
The only reason I agreed to give him $2,800 was because he said he was going to burn or sell my furniture.
I'm gonna enjoy my house. Thank you, Karen.
That lady was never intimidated into anything.
I don't think so either.
She knew she had gotten an extra few bucks at the closing. She knew that she was really living there rent-free, which is really very nice. You buy a property, letting her stay there for almost a month. I have little sympathy for him because he resorted to self-help, went to the house, even though he knew she was still there, and changed the locks. But that document clearly indicated that both parties at some point said, okay, enough. I'm getting out of the house. I'm getting my belongings. My pets are back. Yep. Here's your money, and finished. Well, when you make a settlement, you've made a settlement. You don't get to make one settlement in Mexico and another one in California.
Suing her ex-boyfriend's brother, Cleefers McCowan Jr., for personal property and filing a false police report.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2143, Simpsons versus McCowan Jr.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Simpson, you lived with Mr. McGowan for, looks like 7 years is what you said.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. It was off and on.
What do you mean off and on?
Well, I had another residence as well.
Okay.
And
it's going to get more complicated, I see, than less complicated. You lived off and on, according to you, with the defendant's brother, who is now deceased. Yes. It is your claim at one point in your papers that you and the defendant's brother were married.
Yes, ma'am.
He passed away.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that the defendant owes you money. He was the executor of the estate, and he owes you money for property that he took from the house and for filing a false police report against you, I assume indicating that you took things from the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. McGowan says that you and his brother were never married, while he indicates in his papers there might have been some sort of ceremony of marriage.
Yes.
That his brother somehow must have told him that he never filed the marriage license, so the marriage was never valid.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, let's go to that for a moment. Yes, it's sort of curious and takes me back to law school days. And believe me, that really tests my memory. Were you at the ceremony where your brother married the plaintiff?
No, ma'am, I was not.
When did your brother tell you that there was a marriage ceremony?
I probably heard it just throughout life.
You mean throughout life for how long?
From the time that he had any dealings with her.
So about 7 years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
So you asked your brother whether he was married?
Yes.
How long ago was this?
I would say 4 years ago.
Okay, so 4 years ago, you say to your brother, I understand that you, what's your first name?
Mona.
Mona got married.
Well, so he gave me an insurance document, and I was like, wow, what's going on? What about all this?
He gave you an insurance document that said what?
From the VA indicating that I was going to be the person that gets the money upon if he demise.
If he died,
right? And
you had a VA insurance policy.
Yes, ma'am.
With you as the beneficiary.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so he showed you the insurance policy.
Well, he sent it to me in the mail.
Okay,
or email or electronic. And so I said, wow, what's going on? So then I started to ask different questions, and he said, well, don't worry about that. We're not legally married.
No, you have to tell me. I said to him.
I said to him, so doesn't your wife
Isn't she the beneficiary?
I don't want to be involved in all this.
Right.
And he said, I am not married. We went through a ceremony, and you have 10 days to file the
marriage license.
The marriage license in Las Vegas.
Okay.
To solidify the marriage. And then he said, I never filed it. We are not married.
May I?
Just a second. Did your brother tell you that he had ever told Ms. Simpson that he never filed the marriage license?
No, we never had that conversation.
Okay, well, because you say in your answer, sir, that my brother was too smart for that, he never mailed in the license.
Well, he told me because there was a problem between these two. And so we talked about that, and he said, no, I'm not married to her. And he said, you have to file the document, and I never filed the document. And I have a copy of that right here.
Ms. Simpson,
yes, ma'am.
Tell me when this ceremony took place in Las Vegas.
April 2013.
Did you travel there with Mr. McGowan?
Yes, ma'am. We moved to Vegas together.
Who was at the ceremony?
It was no ceremony. What happened was I don't know what this is. What happened was we went to the Justice of the Peace. And the 10 days is not acronym.
No, don't. Don't
apologize.
Don't tell me.
We had 1 year to go to like a pastor or minister or something like that because we just went to the Justice of the Peace in Vegas. They give you a year to do it, whereas it's, I guess, what I think the term is officiant or something. Officiant has to do it so you can become married permanently.
So you knew that you were not legally married?
Well, it was legal, but it would be official if you don't do another step within a year. And
I understand that, but you never did the other step.
We didn't, only because he was sick, ma'am.
I don't care what the reason was. I don't care if he was watching Yellowstone or because it doesn't matter why.
I respect that.
What? You can get hooked on that.
No, yeah.
I understand.
So
no,
I don't care what the reason
right.
is. You knew that your marriage, because it wasn't confirmed, according to you, within a year that you weren't legally married.
Yes, ma'am. And that
okay, just a second. That's all I want to know. That makes my life much easier. Because, Mr. McGowan, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Under what you told me, under the events that you told me, so you should have kept your mouth shut.
No, it's okay.
No.
It's going to be okay in the end. It's going to make a lot of sense in the end.
No, I understand that it's going to make a lot of sense to me. We're going to follow the money. But I just want to tell you and the people who are watching this that when I thought about your answer, that you said your brother was too smart and didn't file the necessary document within 10 days, my view of that scenario was that she could still consider herself his wife. Because if he fraudulently, in an attempt to deceive her, didn't mail the marriage license in, she would be the beneficiary. I'm just letting you know that. You understand what I just said?
Yes, ma'am.
Because he committed a fraud on her. He would have committed a fraud, your brother, on her into leading her to believe that they were a married couple and they had the responsibilities and the benefits of a married couple. But she says She volunteered that she knew they weren't married.
Yeah.
So I don't even have to address that.
And it's okay.
Just a second. I know where I'm coming from.
Okay.
So Mr. McGowan, the person that you were involved in for a period of years, on and off, you had your own place, but he was ill for a certain period of time. Was your brother ill?
No, ma'am.
No. Just a second. Key says no. You say he was ill for a great portion
When
of
I
that
first
time.
met him.
Shh. Just a second. For a great portion of that time, and that you were his caregiver.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were paid as his caregiver by the government.
The VA, yes, ma'am.
By the VA to be his caregiver.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that would be inconsistent with being his wife, to be his caregiver. Because if you're a wife, you don't get benefits from the VA. If you are a non-relative and caring for somebody who requires assistance, you may get assistance. And how much was the VA? Just answer my question.
Yes,
this is not my first rodeo.
Okay, I understand.
How much was the VA paying you a month to take care of, what was your brother's first name?
Marcus.
How much were you being paid to take care of Marcus? Because you say that one check you didn't get because of him. It's part of your lawsuit, so you know exactly how much you were paid.
Ma'am.
How much?
$2,057.55.
A month.
Yes,
and when
ma'am.
did you start collecting that?
2014.
Woo! You are a legal stranger, so you must have filled out forms to say that you were married.
No, I was considered a family member. I was no longer considered the wife, but I was considered...
Well, you're not no longer. You were never his wife.
Ramona Simpson claims her ex-boyfriend's brother, Cleefers McCowan Jr., threw out her personal belongings. Cleefers is countersuing for damage and stolen property.
Okay, so there was a reason why you didn't continue to solemnize the marriage ceremony that you went through in 2013, because you started to collect $2,000 a month from the VA in 2014 that you couldn't have collected were you his wife. That's a yes.
No, it isn't, ma'am.
Oh.
Receiving the benefits from the VA, you have to be a family member. You have to be related to that person in order to get this stipend pay. It wasn't a regular VA payment, and it's for relatives. You have to be a relative for that veteran.
What are you getting? Oh,
yes, it's true.
Check that,
Pull
Sarah.
up stipend pay for the VA, because we're both disabled veterans. It's not like I just had to do this. I loved him, and I cared for him, and he was sick the day I met him.
Just a minute, you both disabled veterans?
Well, my disability was not as crucial as his was.
How much do you collect?
I very minimum, because
I asked you a question. That's a very minimum.
Yes.
It's not a number.
Yes, it's $300 and some change. But the thing is, Your Honor, may I speak, please? He was sick from the day that I met him, and I was taking care of him prior for that. This was his idea, because he was familiar with the veterans and the system. This was his idea that we can receive funds, and it stayed right in the household. We were living together. It was stayed in the household, and that's okay with them.
I thought you told me a moment ago that you had your own place.
No, not then, ma'am. Not then, when we moved back from Vegas, because we stayed in Vegas for approximately 3 years. When we moved back from Vegas, he had purchase of home and everything, and it was supposed to be okay. We were going to be together. But he started living another alternate life, which he was very familiar with, because he's introduced him to so many people. I don't even care about that. I still continue to take care of Marcus. It was no longer a romantic situation.
Now you still continue. You had your own place.
I lived both places, because he needed me more there than he did when we was living together.
What kind of alternative lifestyle was he doing that he needed you there part-time?
He was seeing other people and
he was
stuff like
seeing
that.
women.
Pardon me?
He was seeing other women.
He was seeing other people, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so he was seeing other people. But you, let me finish.
Yes, ma'am.
But you continued to receive the $2,057. You knew you weren't married. That money was coming directly to you. It wasn't coming to him.
Well,
it was coming to you. At what address?
He was giving me a portion from his bank account, and then when we discontinued everything, there was nothing physical. Then I was receiving my full allotment at that point, but I was still taking care of him, taking him to the VA, taking him to the hospital.
Wait just a second. I don't care. Don't go like this and like this. He's a legal stranger to you, and you're getting $2,000 a month to take him to the VA.
Ma'am, he was not a legal stranger.
He was a legal stranger to you. Legal. He was not your mother, father, brother, sister, or husband?
Ma'am, he was a dear friend of me. He continued to be a friend, honestly.
Well,
and he knows that. We went to several places together.
I'm setting up for myself what is the actuality of the situation. Now, I understand that I was really not prepared for this scenario. I was prepared for somebody, quite frankly, Miss Simpson, who had been defrauded by his deceased brother into believing they were married. She took care of him when he was sick. And all of a sudden, now that he's deceased, his brother comes in, kicks her out of the house, and takes all of his property. That's the scenario. But now I understand that that is not the case, that you knew you weren't married, that for 8 years you collected $2,000 a month for taking him to the doctor's offices, to the vet, to taking care of him in the house, but you understood that he was seeing other people, that you didn't have an exclusive relationship. Now I understand it. And you did receive a certain benefit from that, because when you moved back from Vegas, you went to your own place because he was having an alternative life that had nothing to do with you. At that point, was the money going to his bank account or yours?
It was going to his bank account, ma'am.
Okay. Well, you say that he notified the government. Part of your lawsuit is for 1 month's check that you say, or 2 months that you didn't get. And you say you didn't get it because he notified the VA, or somebody notified the VA. I don't care who notified the VA. What I want to know is, with those checks immediately preceding Mr. McGowan's death, going into his bank account or yours that he had?
His. It was going into Marcus's bank account.
Okay, and he was giving you money from that bank account?
Prior to his death, yes, ma'am.
Right up to the time he got sick and died?
Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
and how much would he give you?
He would have given me $2,057. $2,000.
All right.
No,
okay,
you mean total?
No,
I'm sorry.
No, I get it. It was not what I thought, but I get it.
Ma'am, may I
okay,
please
money
say
owed
something?
for the return of property. What property?
The property, which is my funds. I have jewelry that was missing and clothing that I never received because he kicked out his niece and boarded up the house.
Just a second. Was your brother taken to the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
On what date?
28th of August, 2021.
Okay.
He was nowhere to be found.
Just what?
He wasn't around.
Just a second.
I did that.
Just a second. Did you take him to the hospital?
I had his daughter to call an ambulance. I got to Marcus's house and I followed him to the hospital. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, well, you want to just answer my question? I actually understand the whole scenario. You understand that I do understand the money part. I get it. So when you say his daughter called the ambulance and you got over there from your house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and who do you live with there?
My daughter and my son.
And in whose name is the lease?
My daughters, my son, and myself.
So all three are on the lease?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you had a lease at that address?
2017.
Okay, so we're talking about 5 years that you've had an alternative address. You have an answer for me?
There is a Veterans Affairs program of comprehensive assistance for family caregivers. It says $2,800 a month, but based on a fee schedule that can change. So the $2,057 fits within the range.
And does it define family members?
It doesn't define the family caregiver, only that the VA may appoint someone who's part of the primary family caregivers to the veteran, but it doesn't identify who qualifies as a family caregiver.
As a family caregiver. And that's the act that you were under. But you were not a member of his family.
Yes, ma'am.
You were not a member of his family.
Well,
not a well. Not a well. This is not a well. You're living with your daughter, your son, on a lease since 2017. You know he's got an alternative lifestyle that has absolutely nothing to do with you. He was giving you the $2,000 a month. I don't know why. I don't even have to get into that.
But you were not that individual.
But you were not a family member. If this is for family,
it does go to the veteran to then give the family caregiver, though.
Okay, but you are a legal stranger to him. So you must have filled out forms to say that you were married.
No, it's up to that. It's up to that individual, the veteran, and I know how the procedure goes. It's up to that individual. I was considered a family member. I was no longer considered the wife, but I was considered.
Well, you're not no longer. You were never his wife. So if he filled out a form and
I'm okay with that, ma'am, because I could have.
Okay, so he had the right. You were never his wife. He had the right to board up the house, whichever it is, and you weren't living there for 5 years. You had a place. So if you had clothes there and your jewelry, what were your clothes and your jewelry there? If he was fooling around with other women, why would you leave your clothes and your jewelry in the house?
Okay, ma'am, the thing is, no one has came to the home as another woman in that home. I was always there. He has no proof or evidence that I was not there. So basically, I had clothes there because I stayed there. I lived there.
Forget it. You were more than compensated with $2,000 a month. What's next? I don't believe that you leave any valuable jewelry at his house.
I was there most of the time, honestly.
You don't need valuable jewelry if you're taking care of a sick person.
Ramona Simpson is accusing defendant Cleefers McCowan Jr. of throwing out her personal belongings.
Okay. Do you have any of her property?
No, ma'am.
Did you dispose of any of her property?
I didn't. She had no property there.
Just a second. I don't believe she had any property there either, anything of value.
And I did.
Okay.
Can I?
Excuse me.
I did find what the VA considers a caregiver. So if you're a spouse, son, daughter, parent, step-family member, or extended family member of a veteran, or if you live full-time with them, or if you're willing to live full-time with them if they designate you as the family caregiver.
So technically,
if you're willing to live with the veteran full-time, you could be qualified as a family caregiver, but it's up to the veteran to declare their own family
caregiver if you live there full-time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she stated if you were willing to, and I was always willing to.
Okay.
Because
good. I don't feel as if you were shortchanged, madam, at all. And I don't believe that you had anything of value in the house. So your case is dismissed. Now we're going to get to the second part of your claim. You say she took property from the house?
Yes, ma'am.
What property?
She took jewelry, guns.
What jewelry?
Chains, rings, cufflinks.
Show me.
Entire.
Show me. How am I going to figure that out? You have photographs of things?
Yes, I have some photographs here.
This is so sad.
So sad. You have to put a period and end it. You had a good thing going for 9 years.
Ma'am, the money was paid in the arrears, first of all. So me not getting paid for, and this is really not a big issue to me, what he's saying, because they're all lies, and I'll tell you the truth.
Just say, I'm not saying anything, madam. All I'm saying is you have no case, because I don't believe that somebody who lived in a lifestyle, as you've described, as you've described to me, which is you have your own home, where you're on a lease since 2017, where you said to me he had an alternative lifestyle, but I still took him to his VA appointments. I took him, and I was his caregiver, but I lived with my daughter and my son. I don't believe that you leave any valuable jewelry at his house.
I was there most of the time, honestly.
You don't need valuable jewelry if you're taking care of a sick person.
But can I see? I was staying with also friends, ma'am.
I've decided your case.
I respect that.
This is just what had happened to looking for everything that was taken in there.
I don't care. Who cares? What are you showing me? You're showing me that the place is a mess, that somebody went through it?
I'm showing you what...
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. Prior to his death, when had you seen your brother last?
I had seen him about 5 days prior to that.
You live close by?
I was living in San Diego at the time, and he lived in Highland, which is 79 miles up the 15 freeway.
Okay, so 5 days prior to the 5 days prior that you saw your brother, when had you seen him before?
We see each other quite frequently. We have family barbecues, this, that, and the other. I'm retired. I go.
Okay, would you return these to him? These don't show me any jewelry.
Okay.
It shows me that the house looked like it was picked through.
Okay. Thank you.
What else?
So quite frequently.
That's it. Did you get a VA benefit from your brother for his insurance?
From the life insurance policy.
Yeah, that's from the VA.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much did you receive?
$2,600.
Who paid for his funeral?
I did.
How much was that?
$1,100 or $1,200.
So you took some of the insurance money and paid for it?
Yes.
Did he have any other valuable asset?
He had quite a bit of stuff. It's in probate as we speak.
Oh, so case is in probate
It's in probate right now as we speak.
Oh, great. So I don't have to deal with it. Your case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
You know what? I have a lot of respect for the judge, but she didn't listen to me.
Well, I'm happy that the judge made the decision that she made.
He's a habitual liar.
Thief, My brother died, and within a half a day went over and burglarized the house.
This is something that he can laugh about, and he's going to go and tell the whole world that I'm still a liar. I'm still a this, that, and the other.
There is quite a bit of items that belong to me that this person stole.
That you can love someone and not be married to them. You can help someone and not be married to them and making love to them. I was genuinely there to help Marcus because I love Marcus.
The devil. I don't. You don't want the devil. You know who? The devil.
He barred me from the funeral. I didn't fight it because the respect I have for his family and for Marcus. I could have went there. No. I said, you know what? I won't be there.
I hope that she crawls back in the rat hole she came out of and does whatever she does.
You know what was interesting in that case, Sarah? When I read the complaint and the answer, I had a whole different vision.
Me too.
Of what the arrangement was. And based upon what the defendant wrote in his answer, that his brother, with regard to the marriage, to his brother telling him, I'm too smart, I didn't mail in the papers.
Read like fraud a little bit.
Right.
But she was in on it. She knew. She didn't complete the steps.
She didn't complete the step for a different reason, but she knew
that they weren't legally married.
That they weren't legally married.
Which changes the whole game from a legal perspective.
Right. Certainly the fact that the case is currently in probate made my life a lot easier. Anyway, it should be a warning signal when you get married out there, folks, and you have a marriage license, because I performed enough weddings to know you have to seal it, sign it, put a stamp on it, and usually put it in the mail within 3 days of the ceremony. So brides and grooms, make sure you put it in the mail together, or watch the officiant put it in the mail.
Alan Lukoski is suing business owner Gene Clunn for a semi-automatic rifle.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2055, Lukoski versus Clunn.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Lukoski, am I correct that you own or manage a shooting range?
Yes, it's a target range that's on my own property that I own in northern Minnesota.
And it's licensed to do commercial target shooting?
Not necessarily. What I do is...
What is not necessarily? What does that mean?
Well, for 19 years, I have been a firearms instructor for the permits to carry for the sheriff's department in my county. Okay. So I don't believe that the training is good enough that the people are getting to be able to carry handguns on the street. So I give them a free additional training session at my range.
You also sell guns?
I do not sell guns, no.
How do you make money, is my question.
So I give money by charging people for the class.
Well, that's what I'm talking. You charge people to use, and you don't need a license to run that sort of operation in your county.
No, you have to be a registered NRA instructor, which is also,
Are you?
Yes, I am, ma'am.
For how long?
Oh, I've been doing this for 19 years.
The case is really not very complicated, but let me see if I can break it down to its most basic elements. There was a gentleman who regularly came to your range.
Yes.
And his first name was?
Jim.
How long had he been coming to your range?
A couple of years at least.
And then, according to what you indicate in your complaint, and Mr. Clunn doesn't deny it, he got sick. And according to you, the nature of his illness, you felt prevented him from using a heavier weapon.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you loaned to him, because of his illness, a rifle.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of rifle did you
It
loan?
was a sporting rifle. It was very lightweight.
What kind?
It was called a PS-90. That was the model.
PS?
PS as in Sam, 90.
Would you take a look at that, Sarah, please?
I have a picture, Your Honor, if you'd like to see one.
I would.
It's very unusual. Thank you.
Okay.
I see it. Thank you.
And on approximately what month and year did you loan Jim this gun?
Well...
Well is not an answer, so let's think carefully, because we know we're coming to
probably a month approximately before he died, which was
I don't know
September.
when that was.
September 8th, I believe, he passed away in 2021.
How did you find out that he passed away?
I believe Mary here, who's here because of the fact that she caregave for him while he was going through cancer treatments. She was his reason for staying alive. And she also did witness some things that happened in this case.
Okay, I'll get to you in a second. So he passed away on November 8th.
He died on September 9th.
9th.
Yeah.
Okay.
And okay.
Prior to his passing away, Jim and Mr. Clun had some business deal. And Mr. Clun believed that Jim owed him money. So far, right?
Correct.
And after Jim died, Mr. Clun went to Jim's home and took several things from the home to satisfy that debt.
No, I did not do that, Your Honor. I never came back to the house. I never took anything. Everything I received prior to his death.
Okay. Tell me when you received the gun that belonged to Mr. Lukoski.
Looks like 5/20/21.
Can I see what you have that indicates that you received the gun in May? Because you gave it to him about a month before he died?
Approximately a month.
Well,
could have been a little longer.
It had to be longer.
Okay.
I picked it up the 5th month.
In May?
Yes.
Okay, and you couldn't have given it to him in August?
Yeah, you're right.
It had to be before then.
Okay.
And tell me the circumstances, because that's what this case is about. Mr. Lukoski claims that it was his gun. It was a loan. You had no right because you took it. You got it, evidently, you want to tell me, from Jim, and then subsequently sold it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I want you to tell me the circumstances surrounding your getting possession of this gun in May of 2021.
Jim was in need of money, so I loaned him money, and in trade for the money as collateral, he said he would...
Okay. And I'm going to let you tell me this because Jim's not here, so I'm going to have to get more specifics from people who were his caregivers to buttress what you're saying to me. He needed some money. How did you know him?
Best friends from high school.
And you remained friends?
Yes.
How did you find out that Jim needed money?
Jim called me up, and he was getting scammed, but he wanted the money, and he told me
he was getting scammed by whom?
I don't know who it was, but anyway, I would give him $2,500. He would go to the post office and mail it somewhere. But every time he did that, I would receive collateral of motorcycles or guns.
Just a second. I want you to run this by me. Jim called you and said, I'm being scammed?
No. I think he's being scammed.
I don't care what you think.
Okay.
What you think is unimportant to me. I want you to tell me the circumstances surrounding the money that you gave to him. He called you and said...
He needed to borrow money. I borrowed him the money.
No. I need to borrow money. Had you ever loaned him money before?
Yes.
Often?
No. In the last year of his life, I did probably a half a dozen times.
Just in the last year. So when he called you and said, I need to borrow some money, the reaction, even from a best friend, would be, of course, if you need money, tell me why. Right? That's a natural question. And so that's what you asked him. Tell me why.
And I asked him that question, and he said he was going to be receiving $1 million or $2 million in the next few months.
Okay. So you brought Mr. Lukoski's gun back to Jim while he was alive?
No, I sold the gun.
Keep going. So you sold...
This specific...
Just tell the truth. You don't have to have a good memory.
Alan Lukoski claims business owner Gene Clun owes for a semi-automatic rifle.
So did you ask him how?
I asked him how, and he said he had it all planned with this guy he was sending the money to.
That's all he told you about it? Or did he go into specifics? He did. It had to sound interesting to you, Mr. Clun, because if my best friend called me and said, I need to borrow some money, and I said, tell me why. And she said, because I'm going to come into $1 million shortly, but I need to borrow money to get it to this guy before I get the $1 million. I would say, explain that to me.
And I did. And he said...
And he said?
He said that he would be receiving money in the next month or 2 months.
Mr. Clun, then you would say, how does that, and can I get in on it? You know, if I'm sending you $2,500, which is what you said you gave him, I would say, oh, gee, $2,500, that's a reasonable investment, and I'm going to get a return on my money of $1 million shortly. I would say, is there any piece of that for me?
I didn't question him. He just wanted the money, and he said in return for the money, he would give me the motorcycles and guns as collateral.
Okay. May I please see the written agreement that you had?
Verbal.
So other than you and Jim, nobody knew about this agreement?
Not that I'm aware of.
Now, when was the first time you gave him money?
Looks like May
May
of 2021.
21. Okay. And when was the last time you gave him money?
7/6/21.
Between May of 2021 and the beginning of July, how many times did you give him money?
4 times.
And you have that documented with bank records, et cetera?
Right here, Your Honor.
Okay, great. And tell me how much in total you gave him.
$7,500.
Kevin, would you bring me the documents that Mr. Klun is looking at, please? So in total, you gave him $7,500. And in return, according to you, you took possession of how many motorcycles?
3 motorcycles.
And they belonged to Jim?
And he signed over the titles and everything to me.
Well, they were collateral.
Right. But he signed over everything and gave me the titles for everything.
Can I see the titles to the motorcycles?
They're sold, ma'am.
Interesting.
As well as the rifles that I got also.
I'm just asking you, do you have the sales receipts from the 3 motorcycles? There were 3? Did you say 3?
Yeah.
Do you have the sales receipts from the 3 motorcycles that you say you sold?
No, but I was paid $5,000 in cash for the 3
How am I supposed to know that, sir?
Okay,
You sold
well,
3
anyway,
motorcycles.
Okay.
How am I supposed to know? I mean, all of this is coming out of nowhere, actually, with no proof whatsoever, unless you're prepared to give me some flesh on this bone of a case. Could you stand up? Your first name is Mary?
Yes, it is.
What's your last name?
Wellman.
Were you Jim's caregiver?
Yes, I lived in the upstairs of his house.
Were you a tenant?
We were friends since the late 90s when I first moved to the area.
So, regular caregiver of his, or were you just as needed?
He developed cancer in the late 90s, and I stayed, then I lived with him in the first 2 years because of the 50-50 survival rate and the constant trips to the Mayo Clinic from where we lived were an entire day trip. And then after about 3 years, when he was kind of back on his feet again, I moved out, but we remained friends and we rode motorcycles together and we did lots together. And
so you lived in the house?
Yeah, and I moved back in okay.
Okay. Were you living in the house when he bought these 3 motorcycles?
2 of them I was. A dual sport that he had changed or upgraded to ride a little bit more rough terrain, possibly into Canada.
Okay, just to...
Okay. Yeah.
That much flesh on the bones I don't need.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Did he buy them new or used?
He had bought them used.
In approximately what year?
Well, would have been during the cancer, and so it approximately 2000 to 2003.
Do you know anything else about his dealings with Mr. Klun?
I do know the motorcycles were in the garage when Jim died.
No, they weren't.
Don't.
Okay.
Don't speak. How do you know that?
Well, I had on and off go out there for things, but then Jim's nephew had come and removed one of the bikes right after Jim had passed away.
So the nephew came and removed one?
Mm-hmm.
But this was after he passed?
Yes.
What's the nephew's first name?
Anthony.
Do you know Anthony, Mr. Klun?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Did you get the motorcycle from Anthony?
Nope, I got the motorcycles from Jim, the motorcycles that were left after Jim passed away.
Okay. Now you can sit down.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Klun. Do you have any statements, text messages, or anything else indicating that Jim indicated to you that he could give you as collateral this rifle, other than the fact that he had it in his possession?
I got more than 1 rifle. I have checks that were written out to Jim, and that's what we did.
But that doesn't answer my question, Mr. Klun. I don't care how many rifles you had. He only had 1. That he gave to Jim because it was lighter and easier to shoot. And as his illness progressed, if I'm getting this right, it was hard for him to pick up his own rifle. Now, he may have had more, probably did have more, because you took more than 1, right?
Correct.
Okay. How many rifles did you take?
I took 3 rifles, 5 pistols. I had to bring 3 of the rifles back.
Where?
To Jim to get replacements. The guns that were from Mr. Lukoski.
Only 1?
3 of them.
No, he said he only gave him 1.
Oh, no, but there was 3 of them.
So you brought Mr. Lukoski's gun back to Jim while he was alive?
No, I sold the gun
Keep going. You sold.
This specific.
Just tell the truth. You don't have to have a good memory. If heaven forbid something happened to me and my dentist thought that I owed him $25,000, he couldn't come into my house and say, gee, this Ming vase is just going to cover my dental bill. You can't do that. And that's what you did.
Alan Lukowski is accusing business owner Gene Clunn of selling his semi-automatic rifle without permission.
Keep going. So you sold it. You didn't take it back to him to get a replacement.
No,
to Jim.
You misunderstood. The gun that Mr. Lukowski had, I kept that one.
The one that belongs to Mr. Lukowski, you sold it.
Correct, because
So just a second. Sold it to whom?
The gun dealer in Virginia, Minnesota.
Great. And for that, you have a receipt.
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
I left it at home.
Oh.
Your Honor, I have
Mr. Clunn.
Oh,
Mr.
he has
Clunn,
it right there.
let Mr. Clunn, he doesn't have to prove anything to me. I believe that you resorted to self-help to claim a debt. If it's true, and you did in fact give him money, I actually don't believe that a guy like you would give him all this money without trying to find out what the scam was, or at least tell him, Jim, it sounds to me like you're being scammed. Somebody in Transylvania sent you an email that said a long-distant relative of yours died and left you $1 million. I need $2,500 in order to clear the paperwork to send you $1 million. And I will keep a little piece for myself for finding you. You know how many of those everybody gets? I don't know why people still believe that, but you evidently believed that story 4 times. And not once did you say your friend who was dying of cancer, Jim, this is ridiculous. What you're doing is just throwing good money after bad. I don't understand why you didn't say that to him, or if you did, you would not have said to him, unless you had something to gain, which clearly you did. You sold the motorcycles. You don't have any proof of what you sold them for. You expect me to take your word for the fact that you sold them for $5,000 in cash without proof. He owed you, if I were to believe you and these checks, $7,500. You sold the motorcycles, you sold guns, but unfortunately, one of the things that you sold belonged to the plaintiff. And when somebody dies, there is an estate. There's a judge who decides what property there is. You know, if heaven forbid something happened to me and my dentist thought that I owed him $25,000, he couldn't come into my house and say, gee, I like this Ming vase. This Ming vase is just going to cover my dental bill. You can't do that. And that's what you did. You sold property. You may have had a claim against his estate if he, in fact, owed you money, and if the estate went to probate. I don't know. Did he own a house?
Yes.
Yes. Did he have children?
No, he left the house to me.
Okay. So he had an estate. Clearly, there's money in the estate because he left a house that has some value to someone else. So you cannot, Mr. Clunn, resort to self-help. And Mr. Lukowski is going to show me the value of the gun that his...
Yes. May I expound just a bit on this gun?
I don't care about
the manufacturer.
I don't care about the gun. I don't care if it's a crown in my mouth. What's the value of the gun?
The value of the gun at the time that this man took possession of it.
Just give me an answer.
It was $3,000. It's gained in value.
Okay, well, who cares if it's gained in value, sir? I'd like you to show me where the gun is valued at $3,000. Did you look it up?
I did. I have it. It's listed from the same photo. I found the website listed for $2,500.
Okay. My law clerk found an ad online. Now you're going to show me what you want to show me, that the value is $3,000. Let me see it, please.
May I say something else about this gun?
Not until I look at this. I don't know what this is. Immediate checkout credit card. What is this?
Look at the very top, please.
I see what this is. I want to see what you paid for. This is something that's on sale, starting bid.
It's just a typical price of what they sell for on Gunbroker.
Okay. $2,500?
Yes.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. We're finished. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I'm pleased at the outcome because the information needed to be exposed that there was something terribly wrong.
Somebody waits for 10 months and finds out his gun is missing.
To many different people, and no one had the same answer from him at any time.
Something's wrong.
I don't think he had a choice. It was the only way he was going to win his case because everything's based on mistruths.
I could not get my mind around the defendant. To have a friend since high school that you're best friends with, you remained good friends with. If one of my best friends came to me and told me, hi, I just need to borrow $2,500, I'm going to be a millionaire 2 months from now, I'd say, are you crazy? There's so many of these scams going around. I know I've seen your phone sometimes gets tripped up with the scammers and in the middle of the night ringing off the hook. It's unfortunate that people fall for these scams and really send their hard-earned money, sometimes that they don't have, to these scam artists, and they're never going to see it again. And I think that people have to be really vigilant. I know there's been warnings and things like that I've seen more publicized recently about scams and just how detailed and intricate they can seem, but it's really just...
I get them all the time, as you said.
Yeah.
I have to go like this and then delete.
Delete.
Anton, please answer immediately. Your $3,000 refund is sitting here waiting for you.
Non-existent.
No, sometimes they leave out Anton. Your $3,000 refund is here.
Yeah, gotta be smart.
And, you know, Sarah, a couple of years ago, I don't know whether you remember, but I just thought about it. People were calling me and saying to me, Judy, I didn't know that you went into the cosmetics business.
Oh, yes, I do remember.
And the people who crafted the advertisement, you know, with all kinds of real logos on the top
reviews
of it. And reviews, and I tried this stuff. And I remember being at the gym working out, and a woman came over to me and said, you know, I bought your cosmetics, and they were really terrible. And they keep sending them to me every month.
And probably charging her credit card.
Charging her credit card. And I tried every vehicle in the government to try to get somebody to...
shut it down.
Track it down. And the answer was, they're so smart that they use international, you don't know where they could be. They could be in Peru, they could be in Chile, they could be in Brazil, they can be in Canada. And I know that there are many other celebrities who were caught with the same scam net. But this guy said, my friend Jim
was probably getting scammed. Then why would you provide him the money to get scammed?
Absolutely right. Didn't believe.
Jasmine Jones is suing her ex-boyfriend, Joshua Caldwell, for the costs of a French bulldog.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2120, Jones versus Caldwell.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Jones, you and the defendant were in a romantic relationship that started about a year ago, more than a year ago. And then you decided to do one of the most foolish things that people do when they sort of fall in love, sometimes temporarily. You decided to buy a dog together. According to you, the relationship went south, and now we have this adorable dog that you want back. You say the dog is really yours. You were the one who was its primary caretaker. You paid for a vet bill. Mr. Caldwell said that's not the case. The dog was always supposed to be his. He purchased it, and it's your argument that if Mr. Caldwell is allowed to keep the dog, that you be reimbursed for the vet bills that you paid.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you and Mr. Caldwell live together?
Yes.
From when to when?
From February 1st of this year to September 3rd.
And in what month did you decide to get the dog's name is Scrappy?
Yes.
Scrappy.
We got Scrappy on January 18th.
So before you moved in together?
Yes.
Where were you living?
I was going back and forth from my mom's house to Joshua's. I already had a key in January. I was staying there.
Okay, but you were living with your mother.
Yes.
In January.
Yes.
And who was the breeder of this dog? Did you buy the dog from the breeder or from?
From the breeder, Andrew.
Now, Andrew was sitting over there on the defendant's side, so I assume that Andrew was a friend of your boyfriend's.
Yes.
Stand up, Andrew. I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
That's Scrappy.
Yes.
Scrappy is about 8 months old?
He just hit a year about 2-3 weeks ago.
Oh, so still a puppy.
Yes.
Looks very healthy. When Scrappy was purchased, was the amount paid for him the same as was paid for the other dogs in Scrappy's litter?
No.
How many puppies were in the litter?
5.
Did you charge Mr. Caldwell or Miss Jones for Scrappy?
Mr. Caldwell.
How much did you charge him?
$3,000, Your Honor.
Who paid you?
Joshua.
Mr. Caldwell, did he pay by check or cash?
Cash and Zelle payments.
Did you ever see Miss Jones in the purchasing process?
Yes, I seen her.
Tell me about it.
At the time when they came to pick up the dog, she was his girlfriend, but there was no connection with me. And
Was that the first time you had met her?
I've seen her around because we would work at the gym together. We're both personal trainers, so I would see her around the gym sometimes.
Had you discussed with your friend Joshua?
Yes.
While you were working with him in your personal training at the gym, had you discussed with him getting a dog?
Yes.
When?
I can't recall the exact date, but I know that he had seen that I had bought my dog and that I was getting into the business. So he contacted me early in, say, 2020, stating that, hey, I want to eventually, when you have a litter, get one of your dogs from you.
Do you remember what month that was in?
I'd say, well, Scrap was born October 2021. So around then, maybe a couple months before, when I let him know that the female was pregnant. So maybe around July, August.
Okay, of 2021.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so that was well before the two of you lived together.
Yes.
Did you ever hear from Miss Jones? Did she ever call you before you saw her when they both came to pick up Scrappy?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you can sit down now. Cute. Miss Jones, who paid for Scrappy?
Me and Joshua.
Show me.
I have here Zelle and Venmo payments to Joshua. The first one is in February, and then he didn't start asking me for large amounts.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. These don't look like anything like payments for the dog. What are those payments? $100, $500, $350 in June. What were those for?
They were all payments towards Scrappy. He started asking me for $200, $350 at
You mean
that
after
time.
you already had the dog?
Yeah.
Because you got the dog.
Yeah, but he didn't pay for him straight up. And his friend told us that we could pay for him at will. He didn't give him money the first day that we picked him up.
Okay, I'll go back to you. How much money did Mr. Caldwell pay on the day he picked up the dog?
$0.
When was the first time he made a payment? Now you could stand up again.
He made a payment shortly after, within the first month, of about $300.
So in January, he made first payment.
Of $300.
And in January, there is no Zelle payment from you at all. When was the next payment? Do you recall?
I believe in March he paid another $200.
Well, do you have records of what you paid, sir?
Yes.
I'd like to see them. I just want to see what you paid and when you paid it. By the way, while he's looking for that, when you lived with Mr. Caldwell, did you both contribute to the rent?
My contribution to the rent was paying for the groceries, so I have all my receipts.
So the answer is you did not pay rent.
That was our deal.
But the answer is you did not pay rent.
No, ma'am.
Did you pay any utilities?
Only when he asked me for extra money to pay his phone bill or to pay for the Wi-Fi sometimes.
And when you paid for these extra things, Wi-Fi or his phone bill, did you pay by cash or did you pay by?
The extra charges in there that I didn't highlight. The ones that are $20, $30, those are for gas. The $70 one is for his card.
Well, I just want to know how you know the payment in July for $200, what it was for.
I was only giving him money at that time. For Scrappy, he started asking me for large amounts of money for him. So that's when I gave him those. He didn't ask me for anything towards bills for that apartment.
Is Scrappy totally paid for?
No.
How much is owed?
$2,300.
So the only amount that was paid so far was $700.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is what happens, because relationships come and go. You know, 50% of the marriages in this country fail. So why would you think a relationship is going to last as long as a French bulldog?
Jasmine Jones claims her ex-boyfriend, Joshua Caldwell, owes for the costs of a French bulldog. Joshua is countersuing for vandalism and an assault.
Okay, and this is an agreement that I, Joshua Caldwell, have agreed to buy Cashmere.
That was his name originally.
From Frederick Wright. Once the dog's paid in full, I will receive full ownership rights. Frederick Wright will remain the rightful owner of Cashmere until I complete $3,000 in payments, right?
Correct.
And both of you signed this, and this was in January of 2022. That's a reasonable. What are you laughing at?
I'm not laughing. I'm just like, when did he even sign that? Because I was with him the day that we picked him up, and he never showed me any contract.
Well, but this is reasonable because he's not transferring and he writes to him, he's going to remain the owner. He's the owner of the dog until the full amount is paid for the dog of $3,000. Right now, he said that the only thing was paid was $700. Go ahead, now I'll hear you. Now I got it. Now you can sit down.
When I was present for us picking up Scrappy and purchasing him, it was word of mouth contract. There was no paper signing at all. He didn't even show me a paper.
And?
And he showed me him. He asked me if I liked him. I said yes. And he said he would go half on him with me.
Okay.
And I said, okay. And it was that same day. I get off of work, he picks me up, we go see Scrappy. Didn't know we were gonna get him that day. We ended up getting him that day. He tells me, okay, it's just gonna be $3,500. They walk to the back of the room and start talking and making an agreement. Come back out.
So just a second. So they went in the back of the room. You were not there. That's what you just told me. They went in the back to make an agreement, and then they came out. That's what...
He tells me it's going to be $3,500. They walk to the back of the room, make an agreement.
Right. Go ahead.
And then he comes back and we take Scrappy home. The next day, he texts me early in the morning and tells me that Scrappy might have gotten a bee sting or something because he was limping and he doesn't know what happened. I picked him up from his job that afternoon after I got off of work.
Okay, so you picked up the dog from his work.
Yes, picked him up and I went straight to my mom's house to get clothes because I was going back to his house. And I was examining Scrappy, no swollen paw, no bee sting. Then he said that he probably clipped his nail on the tile, and I'm just like looking at his paw, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it, but he's limping. Those were his stories. Still don't know what happened. Scrappy wasn't showing any signs of like pain, he was just limping. So I was like, we need to take him to the vet, like he needs to get checked out.
So you took him to the vet? Okay,
Yes.
and?
The vet ended up telling us that he had a fracture.
You can't tell me what the vet told you. I'll look at the records from the vet.
Okay, sorry. I have the vet bills and the reports right here.
Did you pay any part of these vet bills, sir?
Yes.
Which parts?
I didn't have any record of it because I didn't see it coming. I honestly didn't know what happened to his elbow. Andrew was there as well. We were both kind of like, we don't know. So I found out after going to the vet that Frenchies have a ligament in their elbow, and this happens often.
No one is suggesting that anyone abused the dog.
Okay. Oh, I'll just.
That's not the suggestion. My question was a simple one. Did you pay any of these vet bills? They're about $1,600.
Yes. I just don't
How much
have
did you pay?
any record of it.
What?
'Cause
He's lying.
I didn't ask you to interrupt. You have to understand, Miss Jones, you can't have this dog. First of all, this dog doesn't belong to either one of you. This dog belongs to him until the dog is paid for. So far, all he's gotten for the dog is $700. $500 of that he paid for. But right now, I can't award ownership of the dog. There's a contract that until this dog is paid for, the dog belongs to Mr. Wright. First name?
Frederick.
Frederick. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Simple. So you have a friend who has Frenchies, then I suggest that you go with your original plan, which is to buy a dog yourself.
Not
Now,
the same.
you have no proof that you paid any of these vet bills.
I just have the medicine with my name on it.
Well, the medicine with your name on it doesn't help. $1,600 in vet bills. And you have physical custody of the dog now, right?
Right.
And your agreement with Mr. Wright is that you don't get ownership of that dog until the dog is paid for. Yeah, I mean, I can't enforce your contract with regard to Miss Jones. The dog was not paid for.
I've already offered to pay him for the remainder of whatever Josh hasn't paid him.
The contract is with Mr. Caldwell, not you. So that's what happened when foolish young people decide to own a dog together. And they're not married, they don't even live together. This is what happens, because relationships come and go. 50% of the marriages in this country fail. So why would you think a relationship is going to last as long as a French bulldog? It's sort of ridiculous, and I've advised against it for the last 25 years. Nobody wants to heed this. So I'm faced with a situation where, when did the two of you break up?
I left on September 3rd.
Well, now we're a couple of months, but...
She didn't leave. She had to be, this is going to go into the assault charge.
I don't...
But
listen,
she had
I
to
don't
be
care.
escorted
I don't
out.
care, whatever. I don't care. You want
clothes.
I'll get to the counterclaim in a second. I will give it the same attention as I've given her claim for the dog. She's not getting the dog back. You have to, however, pay her the $1,600 that she paid for the vet. Do you understand? So that part of your petition is granted. Was the bill all paid?
I'm still paying it off currently. We both agreed to apply for care credit together, and whoever...
But it's your bill that you have to pay. If you work in accounting, you have a check, you don't want that garnished, so you have to pay it.
I am paying it.
You have to pay it. Okay. And he's going to reimburse you for that, $1,600. All right, now let's get to this counterclaim and make short shrift of it. Money owed for assault and vandalizing personal belongings. Let's start with the assault. Allegedly, the assault took place when the plaintiff came home intoxicated.
I'm a kickboxer. On September 3rd, she came to my fight and she dropped me off at home.
That's a lie.
If you say it again, what I'm going to do, if you interrupt Miss Jones, again, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dismiss your claim and you'll pay for these vet bills yourself. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go ahead.
She didn't like the people that was at my fight there, and so she had a couple drinks. She got to my house, and she started to fight with me, and I tried to remove myself from the fight, and then she started getting violent. So then I called her family to come pick her up, and they showed up maybe an hour later. In that hour, I tried to remove myself to another room. She went and got scissors and started to cut my shoes up. Then I had to try to grab my shoes and scrap and go into the opposite room, and she came in there and was trying to fight me. All the while all this happening, I'm recording her on video to make sure that I'm...
You have that recording?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
This would be me asking her just to leave. This whole thing is out of retaliation. What are you about to do? Are you hitting me in the face?
Record me? Because I want my dog?
Fighting me. She won't stop fighting me. I've asked her to leave.
Explain that to me.
Jasmine Jones is accusing her ex-boyfriend, Joshua Caldwell, of owing vet bills for a French bulldog. Joshua is countersuing, claiming Jasmine assaulted him.
Okay. You have that recording?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
This would be me asking her just to leave. This whole thing is out of retaliation. Are you hitting me in the face?
Record me? Because I want my dog?
Fighting me. She won't stop fighting me. I've asked her to leave. Your stuff is in bags.
You're such a... Josh.
Okay. There you go again. There you go again. On camera hitting me. On camera hitting me. On camera. You see her hitting me? There you go.
Explain that to me.
I wasn't dropping him off. We were still...
I don't care what you're dropping off. Explain that video to me.
I was pushing the phone out of my face because he had me on live and was saying my full name. He cut off parts of it.
No, I just want to know what happened here. This was clearly you were going after him. I don't know whether you...
knocking the phone out of his hand because he was saying my full name, saying I was crazy. I had already packed my stuff. I was leaving. We walk in the house. He calls me a dumb bee and then goes straight to the bathroom. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna leave. Like, I'm not gonna deal with this. I had Scrappy by my side. I was packing what I could, taking it downstairs. I walk back up. He goes, oh, you're leaving? And he snatches Scrappy and locks him in the bedroom. And then when he goes to open the door is when I barge in. I'm just like, give me my dog so I can leave. And
well, I want to know what the violent stuff was about.
He was recording me, saying my name.
He was recording you.
Saying I was crazy and I wouldn't get out of the house. And I was like, stop recording me. And I was just hitting the phone out of his hand. I never once put my hands on him. He's already hit me and choked me in the past, so I would not go there to provoke him to hurt me again.
Did you ever report to anyone that he hurt you?
I told my mom.
Did you ever report?
No, I didn't.
Mr. Caldwell, were you injured?
I mean, I'm a fighter. I'm not gonna...
Were you injured is my question.
No.
Her family came?
Yeah.
The police were not called. You called her family instead. Did you pick her up? Stand up, please. You're a mother?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And this incident happened on what date when he called you?
It was about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
On...
Shh. Don't interrupt. On what date?
Labor Day.
Did you go to Mr. Caldwell's home?
Yes, I did.
What time did you get there?
Probably almost 4.
Had Mr. Caldwell ever called you before with regard to picking up your daughter or that she was... No.
No.
So this was a first?
Yes.
Now, when you got there, I want you to describe what you saw.
She was crying. She was upset. And I told her, come on, let's just go. And she said, no, I want to get my dog. I can't leave my dog here. He's been violent in the past. I've seen it. I told her, don't ever leave him with him again. After a beach incident where he, hit him. I mean, he's a kickboxer, like he said. He doesn't hit the dog like a normal person would just tap a dog. No, this was back in July. He was a puppy. He was a baby. And I was so furious when I saw that. He only did it because the dog snapped at him, because he was angrily packing him up into a dog carrier.
Would you do me a favor? Would you describe to me your daughter's condition?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Describe to me, you have to understand, your daughter cannot get the dog. The dog does not belong to the defendant.
Okay.
The dog belongs to Mr. Wright.
What happens to the $1,310 she spent for the dog?
Well,
she sent that money to him.
I have to tell you something. I don't see anything in your daughter's evidence that suggests to me that any payments that she made to him had anything to do with the dog. Anything to do with the dog. Mr. Wright was very clear. He said he received $700 for the dog. There were 2 payments that were identified in his register as payments for Scrappy. There is absolutely nothing in your daughter's register that she gave me of these odd payments of $160 or $70 say Scrappy on it. Not one. So I've already made a determination of where the dog is staying. The dog is staying wherever Mr. Wright wants the dog to stay, because he owns the dog.
Okay.
Understand?
Yes.
So now that's your daughter's case. I finished that part of the case. What I want to know is he has a counterclaim, and his counterclaim was that your daughter, while in an intoxicated state, assaulted him. Some of that I saw on this video. Some of it you saw on the video. Mr. Caldwell was honest, because it doesn't look as if he was injured as a result of that, and I'm absolutely not discounting the fact that no one should put their hands on somebody else. But an assault requires an injury. And so if this is is that dog sleeping?
No,
that is so funny.
He runs all the time.
That is so funny. So, Mr. Caldwell, can you show me what damage you allege Miss Jones caused your property? That's the next thing. You said an assault, which never happened because there was no physical injury. Would you mind telling me, please, what property specifically and photographs of that property?
I'll have it.
Okay, so your counterclaim's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600 for the vet bills that she paid or is obligated to pay on her credit.
It's not assault unless I get hurt.
Yes, it's not an assault unless there is an injury.
So if I was
that it's an
beating
attempt.
her up at her
Just a
house?
second. That's an attempted, sir. It's an attempted assault. Do you understand? If an assault has a specific definition, I believe she probably attempted to assault you when she touched you in an unauthorized manner.
She was punching me in the face. That's not a...
Show me picture of any injury. Show me. No, I didn't see that in the video, sir. I saw her lunging towards you. Do you understand? I saw her lunging towards you. I didn't see her hit you. I didn't see a photograph of any injury. I didn't see a police report where you reported any injury.
Report incidents with her being drunk and fighting other men.
Oh, okay. Did you understand what I said? An assault requires injury. An attempted assault does not. And attempted assault is a crime. But it's a crime which I choose, because of the circumstances here, not to consider and not to award you any cash award because you were not injured in any way. So unless you have photographs of the pair of shoes that you say she cut or something else, I'm dismissing your counterclaim. We got it? Good. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
Scrappy was not just like a dog or a pet, like he was my support.
I mean, it was fair. Obviously, she had nothing to do with the dog.
It's expected because he lied the entire time that we were together.
And that's a lie.
Him not to have given him any of the money that I put towards Scrappy.
She literally just got all the transactions that we've ever done between each other on Venmo or Zelle and brought that to court.
Now I just think like he was pocketing that money the entire time.
And that's why it was dismissed, because it wasn't valid at all.
I disagree with you a little bit on the countersuit of the assault charge. I have a more, I guess, broad overview since I'm just out of school with the common law. So assault versus battery, as far as I learned, was assault was just the imminent threat of a harm. You're fearing for your life or offensive contact of some sort, whereas battery is the actual offensive touching. There has to be some sort of contact. So if we're ruling by common law, which I know we're not bound by any particular state's jurisdiction, I would have awarded him something for the assault claim.
My training is in New York. And in New York, there is no crime of battery. My training was it's assault. And for an assault, there has to be a physical touching and injury. And an attempted assault is placing someone in fear of imminent physical injury. I think you're probably right that there are jurisdictions that are different. We didn't actually see any contact between her and him.
And he was honest. He said,
yeah.
you know, obviously I didn't have any injuries, but...
Right, just as he didn't have any evidence to support the fact that she had destroyed or damaged some of his personal property. Unfortunate.
Suing her cousin, Tina Archuleta, and her wife, Felicia Archuleta, for the balance of an RV and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2096, Martinez versus Archuleta.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, each of you was suing each other for the hefty sum of $10,000. Ms. Martinez, you say you were like a cousin to one of these defendants. Which one?
Tina.
That would be you.
That'd be me.
And your name is?
Felicia Archuleta.
You live together?
Yes.
Are you married?
Yes.
It is your claim that Tina purchased from you an old RV for $1,000, that she currently has possession of the RV, that she has not paid for the RV, and that when you went to their home to collect the money for the RV, that one of them assaulted you.
Both of them.
The defendants say that the original purchase price, which was $1,000, was reduced because the RV was not running. They paid you the $200. Did you give her the $200?
I did.
You did? And that was the day that you took the RV?
No.
When?
That wasn't the day that I took it. So what happened...
No. You took the RV. When did you give her the $200?
This was after I already had it.
Did you ever get $200 from the defendants?
No, I didn't. I received $160 from Tina.
Okay, so let's get back to the RV. How long did you have the RV? And it was just sitting on your property, is that right?
Right.
How long have you had it?
I've had the RV for about 6 years.
What did you do with it? Did you travel with it?
I lived in it for about 2 months, and then I parked it. And
so it was running?
Yes.
But at the time you wanted to get rid of it, it wasn't running?
No.
Did you know what was wrong with it?
Yes, the fuel pump was going bad in it, so we had to replace that.
But it didn't start. They had to have it towed.
Right.
Tina towed it.
Right.
Back to their property.
Yes, they did.
Okay, so when they took it, the agreement was that they were to pay you how much?
$1,000.
And you acknowledged that you were supposed to pay $1,000.
Yes.
Did you get the title at that time?
Not at that time.
You did not?
No.
Is that correct? At the time that they took the RV and had it towed, they gave you no money?
They gave me no
money. Subsequently, they gave you $160.
Correct.
According to you. And tell me under what circumstances they gave you the $160. Tina did.
I went over to their house and they gave me the money in hand.
Okay, and what did you give them?
Well, they had the RV given, the title given to them the day that they took the RV.
And then $160.
Mm-hmm.
Did she ever give you any other money?
No.
Now, when did you go over, according to you, to the property to get the rest of the money? And tell me what happened. What date?
It was August 27th in the evening. I called Tina and told her I was on my way. I went over to her property and
You drove?
I drove my car to her property. And Felicia was outside loading the car.
That's Felicia?
Correct.
That's you.
And so I asked her, where is Tina? She says, she is inside. I said, well, can you call her? So she called Tina on her phone. So Tina came out and she comes up to me and says, what's up? And I said, I'm here to get my money. And Tina tells me, no, you're not getting nothing. I told you you're going to get it when I have it. I said, no, that is not the deal. I want all my money or I'm taking the RV. Now, I have text messages that show that about the RV, about her saying, well, if it's going to be such a problem, you come and pick up the RV and your title. You know, I'm coming to have it picked up tonight. You need to make sure that, you know, not to touch it. And I'm going
Who
to
was living in the RV at the time?
I had my friends in there that would help me try to get it started.
So friends of yours were living
Yeah.
in the RV. Okay.
And she told
Go
me.
ahead.
Okay, and so I told her that I was going to throw them out because she has not paid me for my RV. And then in the text, she also replies that, well, if I wanted to be grimy, I got the title and I could go ahead and keep it. And I do have proof of that.
I would like to see those texts.
Here's the proof. Here you go. There's some more. Those ones.
Well, you acknowledge in the text back and forth that you owe her $800.
Yeah, I never said I didn't. The thing is,
okay.
Can I tell you one thing?
All I'm asking is you acknowledge that you owe her $800.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I told Tina I'm done with it all. I'm gonna make sure that I have someone pick up the RV tonight. And she got upset, screamed, no, you're not, it's a done deal, no, it's not. And I said, I'm getting my RV tonight.
Later.
You chose not to do this shower?
Well, it's not that I didn't choose not to do it. It's she went to Twitter and threatened to beat Bud, and I'm not doing business if you want to fight me.
Erica Martinez claims her cousin, Tina Archuleta, and her wife, Felicia Archuleta, owe for the balance of an RV. Tina and Felicia are countersuing for slander and an assault.
Okay, so I have $800 balance for the RV. Now, you want to tell me about this alleged assault, which, according to you, is worth another $9,000?
Well, yes. Well, as I was speaking with Tina about it after that, me and her were going back and forth. And we were yelling at each other, and then her wife got involved, and I told her, you need to stay out of it. And then I told Tina, I'm done with it all. You know, I'm going back. I'm going to make sure that I have someone pick up the RV tonight. And she got upset, screamed, no, you're not. It's a done deal. No, it's not. You're not doing this. And I said, yes, I am. I'm getting my RV tonight. And then I turned around, went into my car. Felicia says, you ain't getting spit on me from the passenger side. And Tina runs up and punched me in my face, and my glasses flew this way. And that's when I told her, that's it, she's in trouble now. And so that's
Do you have a police report on that?
I do.
On photographs? Do you have any medical record?
I do got the medical records. They're right here.
Okay, this is standard fare. It doesn't give me...
It shows that I did go to the doctors 2 days after because I was having migraines.
That's why I'm not understanding it, because it doesn't make sense. Okay. Do you have photographs of your alleged injury to your face?
No, I have the police reports, but it takes 15 days for them to
Just
know
a second. All I'm asking you is, you don't have medical records of the day of this injury. You had a headache. 2 days later, you went to the hospital. So this is useless to me. You don't have photos of your injury, and you don't have a police report. Is that what you're telling me?
I do have the police number for it, but I don't have the report on me, no.
No, okay. So far, I owe you $800. Now you have a counterclaim, because you acknowledge you owed her $800. You have a counterclaim for harassment, slander, and assault. Who are you alleging the plaintiff assaulted?
Can I go back to something?
No. Who are you alleging the plaintiff assaulted? That would be you. That's Felicia. How did the plaintiff assault you?
She ran me over. She tried to run her over. She tried to run me over.
Well, there's a difference between running you over and trying to run you over. Did she run you over, or did she attempt to run you over?
She attempted to run me over.
Okay. So that at best would be an attempted assault. Yes. So you suffered no injuries?
No.
Okay. Do you have any police report?
I do, Your Honor.
Indicating that you told the police on that date that she attempted to run you over?
This is the one where it says where she tried to run my wife over.
Okay, I'd like to see it, please.
This is the original.
No, I don't. That's all I want. Okay, so it says I told her to start the truck up and move her car because I was leaving and she was behind us, still arguing. So she put it in gear and tried to hit my wife. Is that what you're talking about? Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you suffer any injuries?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
Okay. So this case is a very simple one.
And then, Your Honor,
Tina, case is a very simple one. You owe her $800 for the balance of the RV, which you acknowledge in your text.
But
the only other part that you have is for slander. Now, you say that in your cross complaint, the plaintiff has slandered you. I'd like to see the evidence that you have that she has slandered you. May I see it, please?
I need to show her she wanted the dog.
This isn't slander. I mean, she calls you nasty names, but sticks and stones, and she says they wouldn't pay me for my stuff, my RV, and so forth. That's not slander.
Can I say one thing that I need to get out there? Because originally, the first thing before even doing any of this, she wanted a puppy. And that's where all this title and everything came in.
I read that.
She wanted a puppy.
I read that, and then she changed her mind.
Yeah, and that's where we got the title.
I don't care. You owe her $800. You acknowledge in your text messages.
Try to keep the peace.
Listen to me. I don't care. You acknowledge that you owed her $800, the balance of the $1,000 for the RV. She came to try to get it. There was an argument, and it got nasty. You owe her, Tina, the $800 that you agreed to pay her, the balance of the RV. Judgment for the plaintiff. Counterclaims dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
Yeah, I don't like it. I'm very happy with it. She wanted a dog. That's why she gave me the title.
She had asked me if I wanted a puppy, but she said that she'd make a deal with me and only charge me $1,200, which she changed her words and it was $1,500, so I did not get the puppy.
I tried to keep the peace and say, oh, okay, I'll pay you after she changed her mind.
She's a good liar.
She's just a liar. I don't care. She needs money more than I do.
I honestly think it's ridiculous. We should never have to come to this.
It's a shame family.
It's all good.
No more family, for sure.
This case was another great example of why it's so important, especially with family and friends, if you're going to sell something of value, to have it in writing. People assume with strangers, oh, of course I should have a writing when I'm selling something. But when it's to a friend or a family member, that gift and loan line are very close together, and a writing proves to this court very easily which one of the two it is. So I think that that's a great takeaway from cases like these.
It is. It's a great takeaway. I've always said that when you apply for a marriage license, usually you just have to show your citizenship, date of birth, but I actually think that a marriage license should include all the property that you claim is separate property.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be easy? It would do away with probably 30% or 40% of the divorce proceedings that become acrimonious because you sort of lay it out. So I think that really writing is always important because at the time, you're usually happy with each other. At the time that you're contesting that sale, you're not so happy. So if you have a writing or if you have a license, it makes everybody's job and your stress level reduced. And I'm all about reducing my stress level.
Of course.
Case 2150, Thomas Williams versus Gilmore. All parties, please step forward.
Diamond Thomas and Rumby Williams are suing Rumby's former friend, Shamia Gilmore, for a deposit and the costs of a brunch.
Diamond, this is your boyfriend.
Yes.
And you were planning a baby shower?
It was actually a sip and see for her.
What is that?
So it's like family and friends weren't allowed to really come to the hospital, so we decided to have a little event after the baby turned 6 weeks.
Okay, so that was October 22nd.
Yes.
You hired Miss Gilmore as the caterer of that little event. She quoted you a price of $500 to cater the event, and you gave her a $250 deposit.
Correct.
Then some stuff bothered you a little bit because you, according to what I read, you found some either text messages or whatever between the defendant and boyfriend, which you felt were a little too cozy by her.
Yes.
And you gave her a buzz and you sort of had it out with her. I don't want you to do this anymore, whatever. Anyway, you called her back and said, yes, I want you to do it. She ended up not doing this sip and see. And she finally called you and said, I'm not doing it. I don't like the attitude. I'm not doing it. And you said, fine, give me my $250 back. She said, no. So you're suing her for not only your deposit back, $250, you did hire other people to cater the event.
No, we did it ourselves.
And you want her to pay $1,025 because you said that that's what it cost you over and above $250 plus the rest.
Yes.
Well, that you can't have. An offer and acceptance and a meeting of the minds. That was the contract. That doesn't have to be in writing.
We have a verbal agreement via
That's what
Instagram.
That's what I just said.
So it is in writing.
Who cares?
Diamond Thomas and Rumby Williams claim Rumby's former friend, Shamia Gilmore, owe for a deposit and the costs of a brunch.
Okay, you're going to tell me you chose not to do this shower? You chose not to do it.
Well, it's not that I didn't choose not to do it. It's she went to Twitter and threatened to beat butt, and I'm not doing business if you want to fight me.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense. To be
Okay, well, I don't blame you. If she went to Twitter and said something nasty about you, then I wouldn't do her baby shower, sip and whatever they call it. I wouldn't do it either. Then you have to give her back her $250.
And I bought items for the brunch already. I offered the mimosa bar back and I offered $125 back. She wants the whole thing. If I already spent money out my pocket, there's no way you think I'm going to give you a whole $250. That doesn't make sense.
Well, just a second. Okay. Let me see what she wrote about you on Twitter.
And also, Judge.
So what you're saying is you actually made a purchase.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you have proof of that purchase that you made?
I have the mimosa bar. I don't have it with me, but I didn't print anything off.
I don't even know what that is. What is a mimosa bar?
So it's where you put the mimosa glasses on it's a grass wall, but it has where you hang the cups up at on the wall with the mimosa glass, like the champagne flutes that you put on the wall. And then it has...
Have you used that before?
No, I bought one before, but I still have it brand new.
Just a second. Have you used it before? You're a caterer.
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
Quite a few.
How many?
2 hands, maybe 7 or 8 times.
Okay. And you buy a new one each time you use it?
Yes, ma'am. I let them keep it.
Just a second. You let them keep it. Well, now you can keep this one and use it next time.
Okay.
And I would like to say something about the $950 that she owes us. We gave her a deposit of $250, and she is claiming that we had made anything threatening towards her.
No, just a second.
And she canceled on us. And so I feel that we didn't have enough ample time to be able to find another caterer to do our event.
Well, that's too bad.
Can I ask why?
Absolutely, because you're entitled to your money back, but your contract was for her to do a party, which she ended up not doing.
Can we see the contract? Because I don't...
No, you haven't. We
don't have the contract.
Yeah, and
yes, you do. You had an agreement. She was going to do an event for you on October 22nd. You agreed for her to do the event for you on October 22nd, and you gave her a $250 deposit. That's a contract. It's an oral contract. You had an offer. You had an acceptance. That's a contract. An offer and acceptance and a meeting of the minds. She was going to do the event for $500. You paid her $250. That was the contract. That doesn't have to be in writing.
We have a verbal agreement via
That's what
Instagram.
That's what I just said.
So it is in writing.
Who cares?
Well, it was the point that how are we supposed to be compensated for everything that we had to do after she canceled?
Well, you have to grow up. You have a baby.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Is this your only baby?
Yes.
Great, you have a baby. You have to grow up. I grew up so much, the old me would have beat out one of you. What is that?
I'm not sure.
Would you show this to the plaintiff? I'm just curious. She's going to give you back your $250 anyway. She chose not to do the event.
What?
I don't know what that is. I'm showing it to you. She gave me to show me something that you wrote.
You wanted me to read it?
No, I'm
or
just
you want me to
asking.
tell you what it is?
No, I'm just asking you if you were the author of that.
Yes.
And did you write it about?
It was just a general statement. It wasn't about anybody in particular. That's why I didn't
give that back.
Direct it. The name.
We're very, very easy. Your baby nice? You happy with your baby?
Yes.
Very good. You have nothing to do with her anymore?
No.
Good. You have a mimosa wall? Use it for another event. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $250. We're done here. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I don't agree with the judge's decision.
I'm satisfied with the $250 and knowing that Shamia was wrong to keep our deposit after she canceled on us.
It's just a lot of mess. I won't do business with them ever again.
It is what it is. If she felt some type of way, that's on her.
I'm gonna keep on doing what I'm doing.
We just won't ever do business with her again because she is very unprofessional, just like the tweet said.
Do you know it's an exciting day when at my age you learn something new?
We learn a lot of new things here.
Learn a lot of new things here. So I've just about mastered the engagement party, the wedding, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, quinceañeras, christenings, baptisms, baby showers, if I haven't mentioned that, anniversary parties. But this is the first time I ever heard that expression, a sip and see.
Yeah, I think it's a new thing. I think COVID probably played a role in it, about people not wanting to have big parties or interact with large numbers of people, especially before giving birth with all the hospital requirements. So I like the idea. I've only been to 1 or 2, but the idea is you wait for your child to be about 6 weeks old, so they've been vaccinated, and
they're not vaccinated when you're 6.
Well, the first round of baby shots, and then they're able to see family and have a baby shower where the baby is included. So
I'll add it to my list of